Y'all sit back and watch me speak. About to take over your screen. Talking bulls in 93. Talking mom, I'm on TV. Y'all know all I do is me. All I do is me. Y'all sit back and watch me speak. Y'all sit back and all I know, my money green. About to snap and make a scene. My cup off and make this free. My cup off and make them scream. Go back off for TMZ. Y'all sit back and watch me speak. Y'all sit back and watch me speak. Y'all sit back and watch. Watch me. Watch me. Watch me. Sit back and watch. Sit back. Sit back. Sit back. Sit back. Money long, nothing on credit. I got style, don't catch no feelings. All this bread ain't got no lettuce. I got style, don't catch no feelings. Watch me. Watch me. Sit back and watch. Sit back and watch. Sit back and watch. If it ain't got style, I ain't with it. I ain't with it. If it ain't got style, I ain't with it. Look. If it ain't got style, I ain't with it. I ain't with it. If it ain't got style, I ain't with it. Look. Watch me. Sit back and watch. Watch me. Sit back. Sit back. Watch me. Sit back and watch. Sit back. Sit back. Sit back. Sit back.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Friday night with the APL. This is where all the cool people are, including myself. I'm Elsa the Queen, and I'm also joined here by Orion. Thank you so much for being here once again, Orion, again in the Cool Kids Club here for this Friday night matchup. Tonight we got Dorado Gaming Sai, who we saw last week, going up against Conduit Esports Phoenix, who we actually saw in the first week of the stream when we had Quacks alongside myself. This time, though, it's a Clash of the Titans, Orion. I'm excited to see it go down.
Yeah, absolutely. Both these teams currently sitting at the top of the standings, 4-0 game record, 2-0 in the previous week. So definitely, at least for both these teams here, looking to get at least a little bit of separation between the rest of the pack and seeing which team is actually the dominant team starting out the regular season. So obviously, really hoping to be a really competitive series. I mean, so far the first two streams haven't really been super competitive. Like last week, it was a total of like 40 minutes of game time, and I think week one, even though I wasn't on the stream and kind of looked it up a little bit, also was definitely not super close, but this one definitely looking to be really, really tight.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, very top of the standings, and going back to Dorado's performance last week, obviously was very dominant as well, and they really seem to improve from game to game. So this is going to be really impactful. This is a small league this year, Orion. Or this split. It's only 8 teams, and so every single one of these games is super impactful, especially when it comes to the top of the table here. You got to imagine that this will probably have implications for the top seed in the playoffs, most likely, even though it's happening earlier on.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you have two teams that are off to really great starts, it's always about carrying that momentum forward, making sure you get as high of a placement going into playoffs. So both these teams, even though they're off to a really great start, they'd want to definitely kind of keep that going. That way they get as great of a playoff seeding as they possibly can. And kind of going back and looking at at least for last week's match, Dorado Gaming had a lot of success from the top side of the map, and they used 2 different top laners in that match as well. So kind of curious to see, obviously Gabriel Leo is starting this one. Curious to see if he'll actually play both games or not. But really, I mean, Dorado actually had really solid games, but both games that they played, I mean, like I said, it wasn't that particularly close. They played really clean, both games. And I'm kind of curious to see if they'll be able to kind of continue that dominance, or there was a couple of gameplay in terms of overall how they kind of played it out. That I'm a little curious to see if Phoenix is able to kind of punish those out. We are into the bans already, 6 bans already through for both teams. We've got Brand, Sereth, Swain coming here from Dorado Gaming side, and Ivern, Ash, Maokai. We saw Cooper had a lot of success on that Maokai, so I'm not surprised that one's banned through. And I'm a little curious to see what Dorado's actually going to have their first pick to come through, because they really valued that Maokai last time. Not going to have it this time around.
Yeah, they won't, but it looks like we're going to possibly pivot over to the Varus here, which is a pick that is also considered to be super, super strong in that bot lane. Assuming it's definitely going to that AD carry position most likely, but also with the Ashe banned out, that's just something off the table that can kind of single out the Varus. So we'll see if CPX wants to answer with some bot lane action here, or what else they possibly want to prioritize. I mean, last time CPX was really strong from my memory from the top lane as well. They also had some weirder picks coming through from, I believe it was Stubby, or I think or something is their top laner, but playing the Urgot last time to huge success. So that should be interesting. We'll see if they leave the R5 to the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised by the Caitlyn match here, because they already banned away the Ashe on Conduit Phoenix side. So the fact that they had Varus, typically when a match range with range, Caitlyn does that very, very well. I'm curious if they'll match with just a poke bot lane with the support as well, or if they will transition to a little bit more of a jungle pick here. And this time it's actually going to be a Rel, which is a flex. She's still very strong in the jungle and the support position. So maybe Dorado Gaming side might get baited into picking something that they could just flex the Rel into a different position, or they would be trying to figure out what exactly is for this bot lane here, because Caitlyn Rel is not a super common bot lane, but can still be a particular threat onto the Varus if that is their choice. But this is Dorado Gaming side. Gotta pick up the Lilia here for Cooper in the jungle. Very standard jungler here. Is fairly gonna get to the rail because you have so much movement speed built into the kit. So would like this pick to come in through. Doesn't give a whole lot of way from Dorado Gaming side. And then maybe they might end up picking one of their solo laners here. That way they don't give as much information away as they could. Trying to see if they can pull that rail pick. Instead, it's gonna be the Nautilus. They are going to show very early exactly what their bot lane is, so Conduit Phoenix can either say, okay, we want the Rel to go into the bot lane, or we could just pick a support here that could do fairly well into Varus and Nautilus, and just kind of run the table from there.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would have liked to see Dorado maybe draw that out a little longer, just because of the, weaknesses that Rel does. I mean, she's very strong and engaged, but, you then lack a little bit more early game as a result of that. But it's going to be Rek'Sai here, so no more question marks presumably about the jungle pick, as it's going to be Rel down into the bot lane. Nautilus, obviously they feel confident that Nautilus can do well into that for Dorado. And Rek'Sai though, Orion, not something that I've seen a lot. I mean, I feel like it's had a bit of a resurgence last season at one point, but not something I've seen recently. So I'm excited to see what kind of items that Rek'Sai chooses to build with this new season.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a Titanic Hydra build a little bit, because you have the auto attack reset coming through.
Welcome to the jungle in 2024.
Exactly. So a bruise free type of buff for Rek'Sai. And honestly, I think this champion is a patch early on 14.4. She's actually receiving a pretty sizable buff.
Okay.
Her knockup will knock up every single champion within the circle, not just the primary target.
Oh, it used to be like that back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're giving it back to her. So
nice. Nice.
So, like I said, I think this champion might be a patch early. I think she's still strong, and I think she can be good with like that bruisery type of build that kind of makes her a little bit better in team fights. But even still, Rek'Sai kind of still has a similar style where if she doesn't get super far ahead early, her team fights are fairly lackluster just because she doesn't really provide all that much besides maybe a flank onto the backline option. So kind of curious to see just how Conduit Phoenix is playing out with the Rek'Sai, but it looks like a Ziggs pick. Going to be coming through for DXBS here in the mid lane. Going to be definitely a very long range poke composition, but it's kind of anti-Rail Rek'Sai, right? Like Rail Rek'Sai like to be pretty aggressive, but since Caitlyn kind of likes to be far away, probably looking for some type of wombo combo, right? With the Ziggs ultimate, with the Rail engage, and then Rek'Sai obviously going in as well. So curious to see just how well both DXBS and Not So Dark kind of combo their abilities together and really landing on top of it. But if you look at Dorado Gaming size composition, these are some beefy champions we got over here. We've got Lilia, who's going to be building Riftmaker. Leandri's having a lot of health. Cassante, Nautilus, and Veigar, obviously the hover for Efron here in the mid lane. Not necessarily guaranteed just yet, so kind of hovering that one around. But right now, Conduit Phoenix is going to have a decently hard time engaging. Switching over to the Fury. We're going to wait and see if it's locked in.
All right.
Oh, unfortunately.
Back to reality.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the Fury's actually been received some little buffs over time. Because she got hit pretty hard when the patch currently hit, but with the lethality changes and with like some of her dogs that got buffed a little bit too, the Fury could have been a possibility. Lily would have been the only real AP threat, so I kind of like having another one. But trying to figure out a top lane option here for Stubby, kind of deciding. I would probably like the Gnar a little bit more than some of the other options he kind of highlighted a little bit, because it gives them a little bit more playmaking. It gives them kind of that more wombo combo-ish type style that Conduit Phoenix has already kind of drafted for themselves, and it's locked in here for Stubby.
Yeah, I mean, and that's big praise coming from the Gnar aficionado himself, for sure. So, yeah, we'll see what Conduit Esports Phoenix can do with that Gnar. I feel like they do, though, Orion, kind of further index into the problem that you were pointing out, which is just that Caitlyn and Ziggs are sort of this siege-oriented champions, and they do fit together in that way super well, but they don't necessarily follow up on engage that that well, which is what the rest of CPX's team comp is going to do, really well. So it's going to be interesting to see how they can sort of pull that off. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, thinking about the rest of the team comp coming through here, Orion, for Dorado Esports, what do you make of it? What do you make of this draft? Which team do you feel like has an advantage? Or there's a lot going on. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think Dorado's composition is fairly easy to play. You got a lot of guaranteed CC coming forth. Basically, the point and click Nautilus to coming through with the ultimate into a lot of the chain CC that's likely going to follow up from Dorado Gaming side. So I think if they're able to lock down, honestly, I think if you're able to lock down just about anyone besides maybe the Rel, I think you're in a winning position for a team fight. Even if you lock down the Rel and push her out of a team fight, their engage becomes fairly lackluster. Because even though Gnar as a champion is fairly good at engages, if he's ever mini Gnar, the champion is fairly useless in terms of like an actual team fight. His skirmishing ability is really good, but when you're trying to tank up a Nautilus hook, a Cassante, a Lilia sleep, like all these things, like mini Gnar will absolutely get melted if not appropriately taken care of. So I do think Dorado's composition is fairly easy to play, but Conduit Phoenix actually has a good composition if they're able to get to a position or to a team fight first, like setting up in the river, getting the Caitlyn traps, letting the Ziggs poke, because, I mean, for Dorado Gaming style, obviously, like, they just kind of have the Varus for long range, Veigar's fairly short, everyone else is melee, right? So I think if they're able to kind of get to a position first and let Ziggs poke and the Caitlyn traps, and even with like Rek'Sai looking for a flank, I think they can have success. But I think if Dorado's able to just kind of chain CC them down, they might have a fairly hard time in some of these team fights.
All right. Well, we will have to wait and see. We're still going through the tournament draft here in the client just to finalize things, but I don't think there's too much, of a question regarding where everything is going. So while the players are locking those things in, I did want to give a shout out to our first sponsor of the night, and it is Pro Comps. The shout out is, like I said, to Pro Comps, our sponsor and a game changer app for the league community. This isn't just like the other tools. It's your personal draft coach, perfect for both teams and solo players. In fact, you can pair it with any other app you use. ProComp stands out with features like custom champion pools, personalized tier lists, and live draft advice. Think of it like having a virtual coach and a strategy toolkit all in one. They offer real-time champ and ban recommendations. They already have over 200,000 downloads and thousands of daily users, just like you. Yes, I'm talking about you, the one person who's listening, and everybody else. ProComps is user-friendly, and it's totally free. It's a no-brainer, and at least, come on, you got to at least give it a go. Give it a try. Come on. Download ProComps now, and you'll experience a whole new level of drafting power in your league games. You go to procomps.gg, download it from Overwolf, or click the panel below our stream to download it and or find out more. It is something that I have had downloaded on my computer and used myself. I can truthfully say that. And yeah, I mean, like I said, Orion, not too much going on with this draft that is unexpected. Any final statements before we, send it off into this break?
Yeah, I'm a little curious to see how Stubby plays at the Gnar K'Sante matchup, because Gnar obviously does have that early range advantage, so maybe he can kind of bully the K'Sante early a little bit. I would imagine mid lane's going to be fairly just kind of farm fest, really. Veigar, Ziggs, not really a lot of action that can happen there. But like I mentioned earlier, definitely pay attention to Rek'Sai early on into this game. If she's able to get ahead, if she's able to increase the pace of the game, then all of a sudden Conduit Phoenix's team just really starts to kind of explode because of her gank ability and overall just lethal ganks that she can set up from basically any wall that she comes across with her E ability, right? So definitely watch out for the Rek'Sai in terms of kind of controlling the pace of the early game. But if this game kind of relatively goes early on and kind of stalls out, I can definitely see Dorado picking this game up.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, like we said at the beginning, this is a really critical matchup for the APL. Both of these teams not only undefeated 2-0 as far as matches, but 4-0 as far as games. So somebody has to fall. We will find out who that is when we come back in a few moments after the spectator delay. At that time, we will see you again. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Summoner's Rift, where we are here for this matchup. On the red side, coming out, you had CPX, that's Conduit Esports Phoenix. On the other side, we got Dorado Gaming, Psy, and doesn't look like there's going to be too much. Oh, actually, we do have a little bit of an invade, as I say that, or at least a little bit of aggression here early by CPX. They have that Gnar boomerang, definitely pretty strong at level 1 here. Cassante, well, I'm not sure, or actually, presumably, yeah, he's got his Q, so if it really started to go down, would have a strong ability, but it looks like, you know, no harm, no foul. Everybody going to back off.
Yeah, I mean, not a whole lot of early action, right? I mean, there was no real threat from either team, and you had like a rel W that could go forward, but no follow-up CC to kind of really go through.
They did get the ward.
So, they did indeed get the ward. Actually, both teams both got wards on.
Good point.
Buffs, so both teams will have a very similar knowledge. So curious to see what both junglers will actually end up doing with that. As we do see a bit of a fist bump action, you know, I gotta say, I do think the fist bump is actually pretty cool. You know, when someone gets a kill or anything, you just press U. And a little fist bump pops up over their head.
I did not know that. I didn't know that. That's awesome. Yeah, actually, I've seen that, and I was like, "Oh, am I?" I thought I was accidentally hitting. Anyways, so yeah.
But it does look like actually Lilia has decided to forego her blue buff and actually start with the Raptors and pathing down. So if Conduit Phoenix is paying a little bit of attention, they will have a bit of a knowledge that, hey, like, okay, like Lilia actually did not do her blue buff, so maybe she started on the bot side of the map. So curious what they will actually be doing with that information.
Right. Yeah, I mean, certainly with this Nautilus, they could choose to be aggressive early on. Nation, for now, doing that Gromp in this area, but obviously going to move away. And looks like maybe at the end of the day, it is just going to be a full clear for the Lilia. But yeah, I mean, no early ganks, I guess. Rek'Sai, though, is actually just going to skip the Wolves, so we'll be getting to that top side a little bit quicker.
Yeah, it does look like, you know, 2-5 and Sunrise playing a little bit of respect to the Rek'Sai game. It did look like Not So Dark was actually playing fairly forward in the laning. Could have easily got punished, but they recognized the fact that Rek'Sai did actually start boss side, so they didn't want to play too aggressive there, get punished by a gank. So actually really smart decision to kind of say, hey, even though we can punish this, we don't know where Rek'Sai is, and if Rek'Sai gets going, then all of a sudden this game becomes really, really hard to play. So I do like this decision, even though like it could have been a punish, but it does look like Gnar has able to get the push on Cassante, roaming into the blue buff here onto Lilia. It will be a one-man job. Just kind of see how the Lilia is doing, just kind of see what's going on. Does he confirmation that Lilia is on that blue buff and has done all the clear? We just see it hooked by Sunrise and Not So Dark. That's a pretty good chunk of damage here.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess probably with the Nautilus, you know, you at least need to be willing to play. Where they pick the Nautilus, you have to at least have been willing to play against Rel. Probably you favor this matchup, and you can see why early on. As the wave is going to crash down here. But I did want to point out in the top lane, Orion, you mentioned how Stubby would play out this matchup, and with the wave now shoving into him, he is still going to be up 5 CS just 3.5 minutes in, so pretty substantial lead. We'll see if Lilia can punish here, though. Is just Cooper going to be in the area? Oh, he's actually going to miss the extra bounce on the jump. Still does have the flash speed, needs it, but it doesn't look like he will. So Stubby is going to get chunked out, but does have that TP to get back to lane if he chooses to use it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, plus with the wave pushing back towards him, he's not really going to miss any minions here, so just a bit of a chunk trade here. So, I mean, for Cooper, all that really results in is the fact that he's actually going to get his Raptors taken away from him. And usually, as the Lilia, it's like you're kind of the champion that wants to be looking for, you know, a lot of the like clearing the camps and kind of doing like stuff like that. And the Rek'Sai wants to be doing the ganking, but instead Rek'Sai recognizing the fact that, hey, this top laner actually has gone for this. I do kind of want to look for it. Stubby trying to freeze this wave a little bit here, but does take actually a pretty good amount of damage here.
Yeah.
Gabriel could very easily just push this wave out and get a free base off, and Nara's going to be about half HP for what he just did. So not exactly sure how well this would play out for him, considering he just used his TP to get back to the lane, and Cassante hasn't used his own yet.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it looked good for a moment for Stubby, but then on the back side of that trade, he just ended up taking way too much damage to justify it, it seems like. We'll see if he's able to try to maybe interrupt on the back here, though. from Gabriel Leo. It is pretty annoying with that boomerang. He can continue to land it. And you can see also that Not So Dark has roamed up onto this top side, so it looks like it is going to be the grubs prioritized for the side of Conduit Esports, but Dorado on the other side matching it with that dragon. Or maybe it's the other way around, I guess, but each objectives traded.
Yeah, I mean, it's fairly common, right? Anytime one team goes for a play on the one side of the map, typically the other side of the map is fairly vulnerable. So to try to get as much of an advantage as you possibly can here. So good job by both teams recognizing that they could make a play on the opposite side of the map since the other team is making the other. Curious to see exactly which one actually ends up playing better, right? Because for Dorado, it's like if you're able to stack up these early dragons, like even though you have a fairly scaling team with the Varus Vhagar and even the Lilia, it's like when you get these scaling options, it kind of lets the game like be okay that it's being prolonged. Because obviously we don't really have to worry about like a Dragon Soul timer at 20 minutes. So sometimes that's the best way to speed up a scaling team is you put objectives on the map and basically say, hey, you have to come fight for this, or we're just gonna be so much stronger than you that your scaling is irrelevant. So this could be a better play for Dorado to pick up that early dragon. That way they don't have to worry about that scaling option as much, or that timer, I guess.
Yeah, and with the scaling. We haven't really, I don't think we really touched on the Varus build so far, or what we thought it might be, but it is going to be a pickaxe at least picked up here on the first back by 2-5. So what are you expecting to turn that into, Orion? Because it feels like it would be an on-hit Varus game, I guess. Well, I'm not really sure.
Well, he does have lethal tempo, so
yeah,
I guess
that's what yeah, Not So Dark is going to have to crash down out of there. Yeah, so it looks like it is going to be the Ignite utilized, but nothing else too big.
No, not really. I mean, obviously a nice little trade there from Sunrise, able to land the hook there on Not So Dark, but Rek'Sai is still in the area on the bot side, and Lilia has actually kind of departed a little bit, so I'm curious if 2-5 and Sunrise, with their wave being pushed up fairly far in the lane, they do have fairly good ward coverage though, but it does look like Rek'Sai is kind of hovering in the lane itself. So he might potentially be able to make a play here if they get too aggressive. Oh, there's the hook.
Is going to be Sunrise going in because Not So Dark is so low. Will they be able to finish off this kill? Yes, but now they will pay for it as it's going to be 2-5. The first one going down the flash forward from Sunrise to get the second knock up, and Domination is going to finish it. And it looked juicy for a reason for Dorado Gaming, which is because it was too good to be true. And it's 2 kills going over to Conduit Esports Phoenix.
Yeah, and I really like that play by Not So Dark. Even though he's 300 HP, flashes forward onto 2-5, guaranteeing the CC will land from the Rek'Sai as well, knowing for a fact he will be dying in the process, but anytime you can trade 2 for 1, getting those early kills onto your Rek'Sai, onto your Caitlyn, you will take that trade every single time if you are the support player on your team. And now all of a sudden, gold lead, only about 500 gold, so not really that big, but it is a swing over towards Conduit Phoenix, and that's really what they needed, right, to kind of get going, especially this Rek'Sai kind of increasing the pace of this game. Obviously now has the level 6 marker, and with 2-5 does still have his flash, so even though he did die, he's probably not super vulnerable to any previous plays, now that Not So Dark doesn't have their own flash for any future plays, so we'll have to find a different way to actually make that play without their flash being available, but still, getting that early kill will definitely speed up the pace of the game for this Rek'Sai.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, you mentioned Rek'Sai is going to get that buff on the next patch. I feel like oftentimes people start practicing champions when they see they're on the buff list and then kind of realize, yeah, this is actually pretty decent right now. Plus Rek'Sai, always been a good champion in competitive play just because of her CC. But as we keep watching these top laners here, Gabriel Leo is going to go, or no, did he go all? No, he did not. The junglers are in the area, but the Gabriel Leo has been managed to equalize in this matchup. There was that little bit of a CS lead early on, but it's actually just been totally zeroed out here. Actually, a 1 or 2 CS lead for the side of the Dorado top laner. This bush has been swept out. Let's see if Just Cooper falls a victim. The grubs are up. Both supports in the area as well, so we're definitely going to see a fight here. Just Cooper is going to start it off, but now Nation is in the area. Zig's ultimate not going to actually do too much damage, but is used to zone the enemy team away, as Gabriel Leo going to be really low coming into this one already. Nation in the thick of it, but now it's actually just Cooper who looks like the one that's caught out, and he's going to go down, but now Nation, that puts him in a dangerous position as he's going to fall. Gabriel Leo going to be the second one, but now it's a 2v3 in the favor of Conduit Esports. Phoenix about to gnar out, but not going to go for it, as the rest of Dorado is going to run for the hills, and Conduit Esports Phoenix once again taking a bit of an advantage in that fight. Nice work by the team.
Yeah, and not only that, but it's also 3 more grubs on top of that play as well. So 6 grubs total, plus a 2-to-1 kill advantage from that play in total. But I'm really surprised Dorado even went for that type of play. Gabriel Leo walked down the river with 30% HP and said, I want to fight this. Like, I mean, they just didn't really have great position. I mean, sure, like, they were kind of there, kind of starting up the play, but Cooper was kind of hitting the grubs by himself, taking up extra damage. Nacian kind of realized that and said, hey, I can just go on top of you. I have a Tiamat. I am actually really, really strong at this current moment of the game. I can really kind of get this kill going. But with the kills and with the resets coming through, it actually does look like Dorado, even though they lost that fight, they were able to reset first because the death timers are so short, able to get out onto the map and actually able to pick up their second dragon of the game. So not super doom and gloom just yet for Dorado Gaming. They are sitting fairly okay with the gold department as well. Still only about 600 gold down, but feeling relatively good about their situation. But we are starting to see Stubby doing a really good job in some of these trades. Obviously only down a little bit of farm, but we kind of talked about this mid lane a little bit. You know, these guys farming up a storm, 100 CS at the 11-minute marker, doing a fairly good job there. But right now, I mean, Conduit Phoenix sitting in the driver's seat of this game.
Yeah, they are in the driver's seat. Like you said, Dorado does have some things to be happy about, particularly, you know, those 2 dragons early on. So they do have that kind of in their back pocket as a threat, especially if they can pick up the 3rd one, then, you know, Conduit Esports kind of becomes beholden to them. But here it comes. Nation on the Rek'Sai, as Gabriel Leo is maybe in the wrong place, but he's going to be able to use his ultimate to get to safety, and now it's going to be just Cooper who's here on the aggression, because Efron has showed up as well with the teleport. Gabriel Leo stays alive somehow, and Dorado Gaming, just like that, they take back the gold lead. And you know, I mean, it's still a close game, but that's how they do it to Orion. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and the fancy footwork there from Gabriel Leo, able to get out of the way from any real harm's way. Nice job recognizing he could actually be okay. And the TP coming through from Efron himself hasn't really done much this game. It's mostly been the Ziggs bombs coming from downtown that's really going to affect this play.
All right, Sunrise, speaking of downtown, he's going to flash, land that dredge line into the ultimate, but it's all for nothing. Because Dabs, well, it's all for the flash. As Dabs is going to be managed to get himself out of that one.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, Sunrise just way too early. I mean, Efron nor Cooper really in the area to really follow up any of the CCs, so just needs to be a little bit more patient. He didn't quite have to go at that exact moment for that play to work, but maybe he felt like he did, but unfortunately does just kind of end up, he does end up burning Ziggs' flash, which is relatively good, but I feel like they could have potentially done even more from that play if they just waited a couple more seconds, but ends up actually still being relatively okay for him. So do see a nice little knockback there from Gabriel. Has completed that Iceborne Gauntlet, so some of these trading patterns will be very, very good for him, as the Gnar doesn't quite have the trading force completed yet.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, Cassante, you don't necessarily think of it as like a hyper-scaling champion, but definitely gets, seems to somehow manage to be able to get to that point where he can 1v1 anybody eventually in the game. So, you know, we talked about this, you know, the skill, I guess the skill cut. Oh, actually, because 2-5 is going to be in a little bit of trouble, but Nation is here to back, or rather, to be of assistance in killing him. I apologize. And he's going to go down 3 versus 1. Don't like those odds. So Sunrise is roamed up to that top side, and they get the Rift Herald. We know at what cost, which is at, you know, the life of 2-5 and whatever, I guess, goes down potentially on this turret, but it is going to be the top lane turret presumably going down here, Orion.
Yeah, and we saw this last series in the stream with Dorado Gaming. Anytime there was any major objective that came up with the map, Sunrise instantly left 2-5 and just said, you know what, have fun. I won't see you for another 5 minutes. You can kind of do whatever you want. It's up to you, really. And this time, 2-5 actually gets punished. Need to do a better job recognizing his team's actually making a play on the top side. And needed to be a little bit safer on that bottom side of the map. But they were able to kind of trade towers on the top side of the map, plus a chunk onto that tier 2 tower there. So overall, I would say it is fairly neutral of a play for both teams here, besides the one kill that Conduit Phoenix did get, so a slight advantage over to them. But overall, I mean, still gold lead dead even at the 15-minute marker. Definitely going to being a very team fight focused game for both these teams, and a lot of these team fights probably going to be fairly explosive.
Yeah, and one of the, as we scale into these team fights, one thing to keep in mind if you're Conduit Esports Phoenix is quietly, Efron has been scaling up on this Vygar. He does have the most substantial sort of individual lead in the game, I believe. You know, still just about 500 gold, that is, but 2-0-1, checking in on the stacks here, 154 stacks. So, you know, at that 10 stacks a minute pace at the moment still, as the next dragon comes up, these two, you know, kind of carries, especially the Caitlyn, if she ever does get Ziggs ulted, which I guess theoretically shouldn't be in that position, but if she happens to be, it's going to start to get to one-shot territory here pretty quick.
Yeah, absolutely. We're starting to see both these teams setting up for this objective. Stubby.
It's the Mega now, because Sante's the only one who's here, so Gabriel Leo, it's not going to be able to do much. I was going to say question of how long you can survive, but there's not really anything to be done here if you are Dorado. So unfortunately, they won't be able to threaten that soul point dragon just yet. But luckily, because they took the first two, it means that they don't have to be too worried about it. And they will try to suck the resources from this top side of the map, maybe take this inner turret.
Yeah, exactly. And it does look like they're going to make a play for this tier 2 tower as well up in the top side. Tier 2 towers have a big influx of gold if they are able to pick it up. But it doesn't look like they're going to quite be able to get that one going for them. But it does look like red side here, Conduit Phoenix making a play towards the mid tower because such a heavy rotation up towards the top side. But Cooper looking for a fight. TP coming in.
Okay, TP is going to come through here from Gabriel Leo. He's going to be in the middle of 3 or 4 members, but now, he's going to be able to, no problem, deal with them, as it is going to just be dabs, 1v3, but the Zig's only going to be able to survive so long, and it's the shutdown going on over to 2-5 as Domination going to get hit by this Lilia ultimate. Just Cooper trying to win this 1v1, but now it's a 2v2, as Nation is going to be here using that ultimate from the Rek'Sai to try to finish off the kill onto Just Cooper, who's now going to be the one running away, or is it Nation running away? We don't know, but there's that ultimate from Vygar. If anything is for sure in life, is that Vygar does a lot of damage to AD carry champions, and at the end of this fight, it is Dorado cleaning up, and you know, still a relatively close game, just a 1.2k gold lead, but Dorado coming out on top once again in that fight.
Yeah, huge turnaround there for Dorado Gaming, actually. They recognize the overstay in the mid lane a little bit there. Recognize they could actually kind of turn around and punish on them. Cooper able to chase them down. I'm not exactly sure what Dabs was thinking walking into 4 people. Maybe he's like, okay, I can just kind of surrender my life and the rest of my team can get away safely. But I mean, they still have a lot of chase down abilities, and you're on the wrong side of the map. So really at that point, everyone's probably just going to die. So it's probably better just to kind of kite back and fight with your team at that point, especially considering he does still have flash. But overall, really well played there by Dorado Gaming to kind of pick up those couple of kills. Almost able to get a couple kills back by Nacian. But we see a bit of a fight up in the top lane with Stubby with that movement speed.
I don't know why Gabriel Leo was that far away from his home, but it was a little far away. He's going to go down. I didn't think it was a shutdown or anything like that, but
nice. He's 0-3. I don't think so.
Honestly, you know, I mean, you don't want to die, I guess, in that situation if you don't have to, but not going to be a lot to get done on the map. Or Baron rather is going to be up in 40 seconds, but I don't think that one's going to be targeted out right away. Potentially this top lane turret getting close to going down, but it looks like Dorado coming in to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Well, we talked about, you know, obviously going into the series that, you know, Dorado Gaming top laner, you know, Gabriel and the other top laner actually had a really good series the other day. I mean, so far, obviously not having a great start his game, obviously 0-3-3, but the rest of Dorado Gaming has actually playing this game out fairly well. Sunrise, bit of a face check, but Nate's going up the tower.
Yeah, everybody else is not on the same page, but that's okay, maybe. Actually, Just Cooper is just going to run out of this one. Turret is going to go down. No one has died so far, but Dorado Gaming has taken a lot of damage from the top lane turret, as now Gabriel Leo is going to pop the ghost. Going to get slowed down for now.
5v4.
Yeah, and it's going to be Dabs in a really interesting position there, flanking on the Ziggs, but now he's going to flash away. Maybe it was a 2 million IQ play, as Sunrise going to go really low, not so dark, not falling quite yet. Can Gabriel Leo finish it? As it's going to be 2-5 on the other side, going down. Just Cooper going to follow, and CPX somehow, some way, this mega bait from the Ziggs ends in a team fight victory.
Yeah, team fight victory for sure, but I don't know why Dorado Gaming side is even taking the fight. Vigor's in the bottom lane completely by himself and just doing really great job for his team, picking up tier 1 tower, a great push in the bot lane, able to actually get a lot of gold, but instead they decide to take the 4 versus 5 fight, and we talked about the engage from Not So Dark with the Rel diving forward, getting on top of the backline, and was able to actually get there in that fight and did a lot of the clumping up together and able to get a lot of work done in that fight. Several kills picked up on the side for Conduit Phoenix Esports. Obviously, I think it was a 3-for-0 overall for the entirety of the play. The only real reason why the goal is as close as it is because the Veigar pushed it in the bot lane plus that tower. If he was able to get the tier 2 tower as well, this game's probably dead even, right? But unfortunately, still down 1,000 gold, but still a really close game. Both teams making some uncharacteristic mistakes, in my opinion, but a push for the mid lane tower for Dorado Gaming side.
Yeah, and it really seemed like it's a game of rotation so far, as Gabriel Leo is going to be able to make his way out of there, but no turret going down for Dorado. He did want to get control of that mid lane in preparation partially for this dragon.
Yep.
Oh, with 2-1 with the dragons, you know, with this dance here, it felt like Dorado had such strong control over that objective early on, but now not the case anymore. We'll see who wants to pull the trigger here first.
Big poke.
Yeah. Definitely starting to hurt. Embarrassed, you know. Oh, that was a big. Did he?
Yeah, that was literally asleep.
Yeah, so I mean, he had a lot of people that he had hit, but it looked like at least, but no way that they could follow up on it. And yeah, with that cooldown, I mean, Lilia ult definitely a pretty substantial cooldown. Not there. It is going to be that dragon just forfeited over. The mid turret was traded by Gabriel Leo, you know, kind of at that same time. But again, these mistakes. Oh, Gabriel interrupted, trying to greed for the recall. He's able to sidestep the Ziggs ult. Will he be able to get away? No, Stubby's gonna get him with the Gnar boulder. And now what else can they get done? He's gonna be able to Mega Gnar Varus into the wall, but on the other side of the fight, Conduit Esports Phoenix is getting it done anyway. Efron, trying to be the one-man army, and does manage to get out after getting the kill on Stubby. But now the Nautilus, the last one in the eyes of CPX, will be able to get away. Can they turn back onto the Baron though? They have both of their major damage dealers alive. They've got enough health bars, and it is going to be started up. I don't think Dorado can do a thing about this. And CPX, this is a really strong back and forth game, but it feels like now CPX is in control, but you never know.
Gabriel CP too.
There was a double TP from Dorado. Both their solo laners going to get into the fight. Not So Dark trying to delay them as long as possible. The Baron is still at about 100 HP, so it's going to take a while for this one to go down. And you're right, Orion. It is going to be CPX now making their way out. What can Dorado do? As now Sunrise has also joined the fight. Can they keep them in the area for long enough? It looks like the CPX will be able to make their way out now. Stubby, of course, now has TP'd in to join this fight that feels like it's been going on for about 2 minutes straight. Is Dorado now going to have the control over the river? Will they try to start up the Baron? I assume that they will, to try to keep the tempo of this game up.
Yeah, I mean, it's blinking health bars on the side of Conduit Phoenix. They have to reset. I mean, somebody's pushing out Gabriel. I'm not sure he knows that the Baron's actually going down here.
Yeah.
Some inclinations happening over here. He is starting going down. Natean and the 6-bomb, they do know it's happening.
Asian is in the area. He could make his way over to try to steal this if he does time it right. He is going to have a chance, but it's going to be Jeff Cooper getting the smite down, and now the fight after will proceed as 2-5 should be able to take the 1v1 against Stubby, and he will. For the first time, the Bars are able to survive longer in this game fight, but only for a moment, as Domination gonna survive just by the thinnest of margins. And so far, it is a 2-for-1 in the favor of CPX. Make that a 3-for-1, as it's the Nautilus going down next. So Dorado Gaming, they pick up the Baron, or sorry, yeah, I think it was, yeah.
They got it.
They just have it, yes, they pick up the Baron, but I was trying to see how many members there. Just have it on 2, I believe, or did...
It looks like
they have it on 3.
Yeah, Cooper, Efron, and Gabriel all have it. They were able to kind of get away scot-free, but like you said, about a 2-minute fight or so right there from the end of where the dragon kind of died, where Gabriel Leo got caught out in the river, all the way to Dorado actually getting away with a heist of a Baron there towards the end. They recognize the fact that blinking health bars after the new change to Baron, this thing actually does a lot of damage. If you don't take this thing out fairly quickly, it will actually really do a lot of damage to your entire team. It's no longer just this like worthless purple worm that everyone used to actually think it was. It is a legit like in-game monster for a lot of these teams to deal with. So unfortunately, just kind of ran out of gas. I mean, your damage is Ziggs Caitlyn onto a Baron. These guys aren't necessarily known for great objective damage champions in terms of like, it's not a Varus, it's not a Nazir, it's not Cassio, right? So you don't really have that much damage. So the blinking health bars realized Dorado, okay, we can actually kind of take this one over, and now all of a sudden we're right back into a 1k gold lead for Dorado. And several gold lead changes in this game. I don't think there's ever been a higher goldie than 1.5, honestly. I think it's been right at that 1,000 just about this entire game or so. Probably gonna be, like I said, just keep on fighting for these objectives for both these teams. But with the Baron, though, Dorado gonna be looking to take a lot of objectives here.
And that is gonna be another kind of an airball of a Lilia ult, I feel like.
Yeah, he's done several of those, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. As we are going to have a disconnect, and therefore we are going to have a quick pause into the game here. And Stubby hopefully comes back in a moment, but it will. Yeah, that gives us a breather here and a chance to kind of look at, take a step back to see what's going on here. I was checking out the gold. Richest member on the Rift is going to be Efron on the Vigar. Also has surpassed 200 stacks, but not keeping up quite with the 10 a minute, but at 223 stacks. So that ultimate packing a punch, it looks like it's doing like, just like 2,100 damage max, depending on max health. So that's gonna be a nuclear bomb, basically.
It's always been so funny to me, like with Vagar's ultimate, because obviously he has the stacking ability power, so it kind of gets to a point where doesn't really matter how much HP you have, like when it kind of starts getting lower and lower, because it has the execution damage. It's where like a lot of Vagar's ultimate does, but you're executing with like 2,000 damage.
Yeah, like Caitlyn has 1,814 HP right now, for reference, like for her entire HP bar.
But even still, it's like it won't do that much damage if she's full HP.
Well,
but if she's below half, it's like it's gonna do like 2,000 damage to her. It's like, of course she's not gonna survive. But it's like, I mean, I don't know. I've always thought like the execute, it says obviously damage is maximized against targets below 33%. I don't think there's a single champion in the game that's going to survive a 33% or lower Vagar ultimate, just because the sheer amount of damage it does. But even without the 33% execution damage, but hey, I'm not running games. So.
No, you can't take away the overkill damage. He still did the damage.
I mean, to be fair, he does have a nice little laugh that he does, right? Oh, back to Gabriel.
We got some displacement going on here in the top lane, but it's bounce one as Stubby is going to get dove under this turret. How will he survive? As it is going to be both top laners going down in the end. Dab's able to assist from the long range with Ziggs, and now we return to a 4v. We have a 4v4 state here. checking in on the objectives. It is going to be that third Chemtech Dragon spawning right now. And not so dark. There you go. He's below half HP, and that is going to mean that Efron can one-tap him. And it is also going to mean that Dorado Gaming going to pick their first Chemtech Dragon, but also their third at the game. So they now will have that advantage of being able to threaten the soul point in 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's actually pretty big there for Dorado Gaming. Obviously, pretty fairly back and forth game, basically the entire game, but finally starting to creep to that point of that soul point here for their team. Obviously, would be a huge benefit. Obviously, you know, Chemtech Soul has been made on for a long time. Like when it first got released, where you could revive after you would die. Like so, it used to be turbo broken. Now it's turbo bad because it only works half the time because you have to be below 50% to get the damage reduction, which is kind of whatever. But you know, it's still a Dragon Soul, which is gonna be very beneficial. But if I was, you know, Conduit Phoenix and there was any Dragon Soul I'd be willing to give over, Chemtech Soul is definitely the one.
Right. Definitely the case. And it's not going to be one of those situations where we have the synced objectives. So that is not gonna, you know, they're presumably, unless the Baron has been sitting there for quite some time, there's not going to be a choice there or any ability to play off of that as Stubby. You can see how he is able to take advantage of this matchup in the 1v1, but all of a sudden it's actually a 1v3 as Gabriel Leo. We've seen this before. He's caught out, but he is able to get himself to safety using that all out.
Yep. Just doing he's Cassanteing all over them. That's the new phrase.
There you go. Just like the choking.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. That's a nice use of the unstoppable W there, not letting himself get Mega Nard into the wall. I don't know if that Mega Nard actually would have hit him. I think it was a little bit too far anyways, but regardless, chance of escaping. Has had a fairly rough game, obviously sitting at 0-5, but like you said, this Veigar is absolutely massive. 3.5 items, also sitting on that stasis item with the Seeker's Arm Guard, so will be fairly hard to kill in just about any state of the game. Because like I said, the Rel is the really only, I would say, real engage for the side of Conduit Phoenix, and as long as Veigar's not getting absolutely bursted, he should be relatively okay to kind of kite back, use his cage defensively, and kind of survive most of the damage coming through from Conduit Phoenix Esports. But it does look like, you know, for the side of Dorado Gaming, kind of setting up this Baron objective a little bit here, spawning in less than a minute. They want to keep this mid pressure though, don't really want to give this one over, and kind of just poking and prodding with the Lilia balls, seeing if they can make any plays happen.
Poking and prodding with the Lilia balls.
Okay.
All right, there you go. Actually, they're just going to land the cage, and Efron, he doesn't even need to use the ultimate. Nice burst there with the Varus ult for follow-up coming through there, or actually might have been what hit them at first. I didn't even catch it, but great play by Dorado to just, you know, camp the brush. Classic. And it's going to net them a free Baron here, it looks like, as well.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, well, Rek'Sai could potentially try to go for the steal here, so keep an eye on that.
Definitely kind of hovering around. Obviously, Rek'Sai doesn't have a great Baron take, but it is still fairly good. He can just kind of tunnel over the wall here. Wards are kind of coming down. He does have the Ziggs damage over the wall as well.
All right.
Let's see, here we go.
Here he goes over the wall, gonna have a chance again, and it is gonna be an early smite, and Nation's gonna be able to take the Baron away from Dorado Gaming. Will he be able to bounce himself to safety? He's gonna be stunned up by the sleep, but now getting some peel from Not So Dark. Efron though, gonna end it by going legendary. And so it will be the jungler from CPX down, but hero play through the Baron. Gabriel Leo could be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and there's the not gonna be able to catch Efron. That would have been so huge if he would have been able to get the Veigar into the wall, but instead it is the Efron able to stay alive. Doesn't have the flash up any longer, but that's okay because Dorado, they've taken what they want. They're gonna leave with it. Because at 45 seconds, that's not a lot of time to reset. They're gonna have to get their keysters back to this dragon if they want the soul to be a possibility.
Stubby, man, he had him. He had the Mega Gnar. He had to shuffle back into his team. but he just misclicked his flash. Oh, that's so clutch. It's so not clutch, actually. And also just like not really good for him as well, because even though he's building his Mega Gnar back up, he does not have that flash to get onto the backline and land a huge Mega Gnar. That was his moment. And unfortunately fell a little bit short there, but no time to think about that one now, as both teams are setting up for this Dragon Soul. And kind of like I said, this is the one soul that you're kind of just okay, like, okay, if we give it up, we give it up. It's not really that big of a deal, but at the same time, we do see this Ziggs poking and prodding once again, landing a lot of damage. Gabriel Leo is not that tanky, but Rel caught once. Oh, nice flash.
All right, gonna be able to Rel gonna be able to flash away, but will not then have that for any kind of engage later.
Oh, look at the flank from Gnar.
All right. Oh yeah, Gnar. He's got this Mega Gnar, but it could be too early here. It should.
Oh,
it's gonna
he's looking. He's looking.
They want to go right now. Is going to get 2 into the wall, but that will not include the Vigar. And now 2-5 is able to reset. And now it's a front-to-back team fight, which is what Dorado Gaming want to do, fighting behind these carries. And you can see that their front line is all up in the face of the CPX members, and it is going to be a 2-4-0 so far here for Dorado, taking out those top-side engagers from CPX, and they should be able to claim the soul, try to take something from the base of CPX as well.
And that's going to be a huge pickup for Dorado Gaming. We saw the Gnar flank. We saw the vision coming through from Stubby, but he just didn't quite have enough distance to make it.
Oh, okay, that's going to be 1K into the pocket of Dabs on this Zig, so that is going to be a huge amount of gold.
Okay.
Not so dark, gonna be able to get the crash down, and it's going to be Domination picking up some gold as well. So with that, you know, what can we expect, Orion? If it's going to go back, it's going to go forth in this game. With the TP coming through from Stubby, they do not want to give up on this.
They have a Ziggs. They have a Ziggs. The turret damage is going to be absolutely massive here. They might even be able to get an inhibitor up the play.
Yeah, Bar is the only real wave clear that they have here, other than just the Lilia seeds. And yeah, it's just going to be the mid lane inhibitor, the first base broken in the game. You wouldn't believe it a few seconds ago if I told you, but it is going to be the base of Dorado Gaming. Their inhibitor going down mid lane, usually the easiest to defend, but an inhibitor is an inhibitor.
Yeah, exactly. Inhib is an inhib. The pressure that it brings with the super minions kind of coming through, it kind of just stalls out the mid lane push in its entirety, unless someone's actually there in the mid lane to kind of constantly push it out. But typically mid lane is lane, like you said, that generally people are kind of gravitating towards anyways. So should kind of be able to deal with that one fairly appropriately. But like you said, I mean, the fact that Dorado literally just won their Dragon Soul fight, and they're the team that gets their base broken first, is fairly crazy, right? I mean, considering the fact that it was Efron of all people, who's been having an amazing game for the side of the Dorado Gaming side, gets caught out with Gabriel Leo there in the mid lane trying to break down that tier 3 tower. Just wasn't quite expecting that 6 damage from Dabs, and he's almost on his death cap. He's 500 gold off of a death cap, and he will be absolutely massive in this game. So his #1 goal is to pick up enough gold before this Baron spawns in about a minute and 20 seconds or so.
Yeah.
Once he's able to get that gold and buy that death cap, he'll be sitting nice and pretty.
Yeah, I mean, and he's gonna go back to base right now because
but why did he click that wave?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure why he didn't pick up that one wave. I don't think it would have been quite enough, but you're right, Ryan. He does really need to scrap up anything that he can. Unfortunately, all of the jungle camps taken. Yeah, I mean, that's really one of those things where teams that are on the next level will sort of be able to play around that, you know, maybe save a jungle camp here, you know, and call that out. But it's all dependent on people communicating, and you never know what's going on. So still, the Zig's going to be super strong here. Of course, though, would have loved to have that death cap. Is picking up some farm here on the side. He's only 200 off.
He's missing. If he gets his mid wave, he'll have enough. So hopefully he's telling his entire team, like, hey, don't kill the wave, but Caitlyn's already taking it. Oh no, he's not gonna get it.
Bro, yeah.
Oh, that's so sad. I mean, I think if Ziggs actually gets the death cap, I think they have a legitimate chance of taking over this objective, but He's going to be missing about 200 ability power or so without actually being able to purchase that one item.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's like, one item maybe isn't that big of a deal, but when we're considering a level 18 Ziggs missing out on 200 plus ability power,
running back and forth.
It's absolutely huge for this team. And obviously,
The top lane wave has just died to the minions the time that he ran, and he had Rek'Sai in his back pocket, but I don't know what's going on. I mean, yeah, I wish we could hear the communication, I suppose, but
taking down.
Yeah, all right, but now the communication is probably saying go button, as they did want to go on to Efron. It is going to be a nice engage right now. Not so dark, but the carries, they're just not here, and that's just going to be two members from CPX going down. Stubby, doesn't he actually even have teleport, even if they wanted to use it? So speaking of communication, I just do not think that that was at the moment. I mean, they saw the target that they wanted, but yeah, I mean, they're going to get that one turret top. I can't imagine they're going to get much more. So, and for CPX, feels like a missed opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they recognize the fact that they can potentially get onto Efron there with the flash from Nacian and also Not So Dark kind of getting on top of him. But they either forgot or didn't pan and press tab and recognize Veigar has a stasis item with the Zanya's purchase. So, like I said earlier, he is able to kind of stall out any burst engages they try to make on top of him. And unfortunately, the Ziggs bomb was already used previously to try to kind of kill him when that initial engage was taken by the Rel and the Rek'Sai. So unfortunately for them, wasn't quite able to pick up that kill. But we're starting to get close to a 40-minute banger. I mean, this one game is almost longer than our entire last two games that we were on stream. So definitely an absolute banger in this game. And honestly, we kind of talked about it, right? Both these teams sitting at the top of the standings, 4-0 game record for the 2 weeks they've played, haven't dropped a single game yet. So really, I mean, honestly, if you were to think about it, nothing less should be expected of both these teams to play. But Ziggs, it has now purchased that death cap, sitting on an additional 200 ability power here. We're from 500 to 682. So maybe, 180. Don't hate me. It's pretty close. But overall, still looking to kind of pressure them off these inhibitors. But with the Baron buff, though, we'll be able to kind of play on these towers a little bit better because Ziggs does struggle to clear away some of these waves a little bit because of the magic damage that he deals to these waves. So if we kind of watch to see what the pressure Dorado Gaming can put on this tier 3 tower. It's already fairly low in the mid lane.
Yeah, and with the Baron, make that siege all the easier, and Efron is going to be able to land that cage.
Oh, he wasted ulti.
Throw out the ultimate, which, yeah, due to the fact, like you said, not missing very much HP from Not So Dark, and so not so damage from Efron, but, that his champion not really built to kill Rel necessarily, or at least
Elder is available.
HP. But yeah, I mean, it at least is going to give Dorado the map control to potentially start off this Elder, or at least, just be in charge of this part of the map. There is vision in the pit from CPX.
Vision in the pit, both teams posturing in the Ripper, trying to get Stubby's about half Mega. If he gets the Mega, they have a chance. Oh, he's stunned.
Oh, Stubby, he's never going to get a chance to do it. Oh, no, he is Mega, and he's going to survive for now. Can he get over the wall? Yes, he will. He has a huge Gnar, but there's no follow-up once again as Domination and Dabs just on the other side of the wall. It literally made my screen glitch because that was such a sick Gnar ult. But, I mean, that's really all that's sick, in a good way, I guess, from CPX in this fight. It's going to be Dorado with the teamwork. And just Sunrise, the support, going down 1-4-5, and they're going to take it mid lane. A 40-minute banger going to end, kind of in a whisper, I guess, here as Dorado puts their stamp on the first game of the series.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good, right? We saw the potential, the Rel going forward, flashing over the wall from Stubby, but Ziggs had already used his Mega Inferno Bomb and plus all his other poke previously to kind of go for that play. So even though it looked really, really good, like you said, the spacing from Dorado and able to kind of kite backwards and deal with that initial engage, plus the Veigar cage, not really letting the Caitlyn or the Ziggs walk forward and do the necessary damage to outright win the fight, ends up meaning, like you said, Dorado Gaming side able to pick up game 1 victory here in 42 minutes.
Yeah, and that was Yeah, like you said, faster than the series that we had last week. I mean, rather
slower.
almost slower than the entire series. Same as the first week as well. You know, from CPX again, they were super dominant in that case. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure that both of these teams, even after that, feeling fired up for the next game just because of how close it was. Because you know, Dorado comes out on top, Orion, but it doesn't make you don't feel like going into game two that you don't feel like CPX is going to lay down and die.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we said, both teams up the standings, right? Very, very top. We expect this game to be very, very close. And it was, right? I think both teams definitely had a chance to outright win this game. I think Dorado Gaming had a couple better moments as we saw kind of throughout this game, and were able to pick up the victory because of it. Efron had an absolutely massive game. I mean, to be honest, he kind of like solo 1v9 this game, really, most ways. A lot of the plays were off the Vic Arcade, kind of letting the absolutely blasting the rail anytime she walked too far forward when she was going for vision. So Efron played really, really well in this game, and really without him, Dorado probably loses this game, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the leaders of Dorado, both in game and out. Definitely the MVP there of game one. But luckily for CPX, game one doesn't tell the whole story because it's a 3-game series. And so when we come back, we will be into the draft for game number 2. See you then.
You pulling me inside of darkness, darkness, rain, follow me. You pulling me inside of the darkness, darkness, rain, follow me. And now that I can't live without you, I'm stuck in your dreams. What can I do? You make me sick to my guts. peace, restore our Gloria to live forever. Bring down the dark regime and know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to game number 2 of this thrilling series so far between Conduit, Esports, Phoenix, taking on Dorado Gaming side, and we are going to switch sides this time. Dorado Gaming going on to the red side. We are already into the picks and the bans here. Vigar not going to be taking the Rift again for Efron this time, taken away alongside the Ashe. Then on the other side, it will be the Xerath as well as the Brand, banned for, once again, by Dorado. Doesn't matter which side, they do not want to see those champions.
They definitely do not. And I mean, I'm not super surprised by the Vagar ban, but the second the draft law ban started, they instant banned Vagar. Like, it wasn't even the consideration. This champion is no longer allowed to be in Efron's hands, and it does look like Dorado Gaming side considering the Rek'Sai ban, but instead, maybe it's just a bit of a tease, like, hey, we want you to pick that Rek'Sai again, but instead we'll leave the Swain ban here coming through. So curious to see what exactly the first pick is going to be for blue side. Obviously, for Dorado Gaming last game, it was that Varus fairly staple of a pick, but Maokai is left open and available. So I'd imagine if the Maokai's not picked here, it will be picked by Dorado, and there's the takeaway coming through.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is going to be that Maokai, like you said, is so important to Dorado. Last series, obviously there's more that they can play in the jungle as we've seen, but that one is just a high priority. I mean, it makes sense in competitive play. It just has that great ability to engage and also, you know, repel engage as well with his ultimate. And then, you know, just that additional lockdown. Very, very solid. But for Dorado, they were okay with just Cooper Zilia last time. Had some plays that, you know, had some R button presses that weren't the best, but you know, the champion fit in definitely well, so that one is going to be locked down. Once again, we'll see if he can clean up some of those errors and what Dorado wants to pair that along with in this first rotation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, unfortunately, did have some of the very long-range ultimates, but looking to kind of tag team it up this game, though, with the Misfortune coming through as well. The bullet time into the sleep combo doesn't wake up the person that is asleep, so you basically get a full duration of bullet time if you're able to cast it before the sleep duration actually kind of goes off. So obviously a very, very powerful combo there for overall for the team fights here. And anytime you see Maokai, obviously it's kind of like what the other team is looking to do as well, looking to set up objectives, team fight around those objectives, and Avilios being considered here for the blue side here. Definitely still a very strong 80 carry, has been hit a couple of times since the patch kind of came through, because I mean, when this new season originally started, Aphelios was super strong on the patch because of how lethality changes came through. He was basically getting a flat 33 armor penetration different from his passive, which was crazy. To be very honest, considering it's just coming from just an 80 carry without any lethality items coming through. So with the crit build on top of it, definitely doing very, very, really, really good things. And the Lux coming through potentially for mid lane or support. Kind of flexible pick here a little bit here for Phoenix on the other side. Conduit Phoenix, sorry. Picking up on here for the blue side. I'm curious to see if Dorado is going to kind of go more into the kind of wombo combo, like they could take away the rel from last game, even though Maokai is actually fairly good into the rel. You can bramble smash out of the rel engage coming through. So I'm curious to see exactly what they're going to be engaged. They could also do Leona as well, kind of long range, or the Nautilus. Both champions essentially do the same thing and point and click somebody with your stuns from very long range. And Aphelios typically struggles into teams like this, where it's like if he doesn't have the right appropriate peel, he can just instantly get one shot because he has no real way of escaping those situations with the no movement ability. So if they are able to get on top of the Aphelios, Dorado Gaming will have very good success in these team fights.
Yeah, they certainly will. And I mean, one thing that I reflecting on kind of this first rotation here is that it's going to be the Gnar taken away by Dorado. Dorado in the first game, they did first pick that Varus. They won the game. It seemed like Varus did quite well. This time it's open again. They decided not to take it. Maybe I guess into the Maokai. They don't like the Varus, but then they picked another immobile AD in Misfortune. I mean, a little bit faster of one, I guess. But it's just kind of interesting, that being kind of the one piece that Dorado has chosen to change so far, and we'll see how that impacts the rest of the game. CPX getting this Alexa, we'll see where it goes. I mean, it was banned away last game in the second rotation by Dorado. I thought it would have been a great pick on R3 last time for CPX in order to get the double range bot lane, but obviously that time is far past and gone. We'll see where it goes this time. Would be bullying the Nautilus if it's bot lane, but also pretty vulnerable to the ganks, as lots of top laners taken away here. Mordekaiser and presumably Cassante, the last takeaway by CPX, and then Milio, the lone support takeaway, not wanting to give that counter away.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the Milio ban. Even though Lux is shown, Milio is fairly good into the likes of Lilia specifically. Doesn't do super well in the Nautilus because you can kind of time the soccer ball in a way where you knock away the Nautilus, but the hook will still land, right, which sometimes can still be enough. But still, I think the Milio ban coming through does kind of take away some of the appeal from Aphelios a little bit here. I'm curious what exactly for Conduit Phoenix, if they are going to kind of delve a little bit deeper into the support pool, if they'll go with something kind of like a beefier option, they go like Tom Kench, or if they go like Braum. Either of these champions right now would be really, really good for the Aphelios, in my opinion, because so far it's like a lot of very like heavy damage diving forward.
Yeah.
But these two champions can very easily soak up all that damage, and Aphelios can just kind of stand behind them and just do so much damage on top of somebody that's all these champions are diving on top of him. If Aphelios ever has Infernum, which is the blue gun, he will be doing so much damage with the flamethrower-esque type gun that can kind of pile on top of them. But it could just very well end up being a Lux support as well, or even a Maokai support. Maokai is one of, if not the best supports in solo queue currently, with a very high percentage win rate and very high elos of gameplay. I think it at one point was up to 57 or 58%, which is fairly absurd.
True.
Considering like 54 is like crazy. But overall, I mean, Maokai still considered a very flexible champ with the jungle and support. So we will see. They are saving the support for that last pick. Belveth obviously has been locked in for the jungle and Zach being locked in here, most likely for the top lane, or most likely a solo lane. I would imagine. I don't think it's Aphelios Zach in the bot lane, so it does look like Maokai Aphelios will actually end up being that lane in the bot lane.
Yeah, I think you're right, because I mean Zach's definitely going top lane. I don't think there's any other top laner picked here, and there's definitely not another mid lane. I mean, Zach could be the other mid laner, but without another top laner, that is the piece of the puzzle. And Dorado, they are going to take this Aatrox, it looks like, for Gabriel Leo. So that is going to be his choice into this matchup. Definitely, I can imagine that would be a strong matchup for Aatrox, just being able to sustain through that damage from the Zach. But we do know that Zach can pick up those blobs. He has been shown to be a big force in the top lane. So drafts coming out looking a little bit different here. I guess Dorado with that Cassante last time, the Cassante wasn't a super, tank necessarily, but with this Aatrox, he's not necessarily going to be able to run in 1v3 at the beginning of the fights like Gabriel Leo was last time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think overall in terms of the compositions here, Conduit Phoenix's comp is, I would say, kind of a little bit all over the place in a way.
Yeah, pretty hodgepodge.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. I mean, especially, I will have to wait and see exactly where these champs are going, because in theory, like, the two solo lanes could theoretically be like Maokai Zach, and then Lux could be the support as well. So I'll kind of wait to kind of talk about their comp a little bit, just kind of figuring some things out in terms of how the champion's going through. But Dorado's composition is almost the definition of a team fight composition, where you've got the layering of CC with the Nautilus and the Syndra, the Lilia sleep over the top with the MF ultimate as well from over the top. So if they're able to layer all of their damage, they can very, very easily just blow up anyone on Conduit Phoenix composition. But the Conduit does have a very, very good ways of actually getting onto the backline, right? You have Zach, you have Maokai, and even like Bel'Veth, she's able to get these resets going in these fights. There's not a whole lot of options that they have currently in terms of really the DPS wise to actually kill this Bel'Veth if she goes a little bit of a tankier build, because I would imagine Misfortune could be somewhere on the lines of a lethality build, maybe a crit on hit build potentially, but lethality is kind of just a little bit better version of Misfortune currently for her ultimate damage per se. And then right now it's like there's not a whole lot of ways to actually deal with this Bel'Veth if she does get these resets going. Right now it does look like for the in client, Stubby has locked in the Maokai. Obviously they do have the ability to switch around their champs and figure some stuff out. But
all right,
I see it. I want to wait until it's locked in completely. Currently, the three champions for Conduit locked in is Maokai, Zach, and Lux, which means if they stay, it would be Aphelios Bel'Veth in the bot lane, which is...
I mean, Bel'Veth support, it is a thing that I have seen.
It is a thing. I don't know how much of it is a thing into Nautilus, per se.
Yeah. I also feel like Maokai into Aatrox sounds terrible, just because I feel like eventually you just become a healing... a vessel for Aatrox's healing. I mean, either way that could be the case, but at least Zach can just jump away maybe. But
I feel like, I mean, in terms of like overall what they're looking to accomplish, right, it could be a situation where they're kind of like messing with Dorado a little bit. At least that's true. It's kind of what I'm hoping, at least.
Why not, right?
Because I mean, like I said, they have until 20 seconds when the draft is kind of over. They have the ability to swap. Right, so as long as they get everything into position before 20 seconds, they are perfectly fine with the champions they locked in previously.
Right.
But as of right now, Bel'Veth is support, and we're on to the very last pick of the draft for Dorado and their support. So once that takes over, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, I think we don't want to spend too much time talking about it if it's not going to actually be a thing. But my one case for Bel'Veth in this situation as they swap would just be that, you can play a lot into the support position when you know that you're against another melee support. It's not quite as threatening for you to get pushed out of the lane. But when all's said and done, Orion, it looks like we are going to get kind of what we expected in the end here from CPX. And yeah, I mean, in a few moments, we are going to get onto Summoner's Rift, and we'll find out if Dorado Gaming can win this one in a 2-0. But before that, I did want to take a moment just to shout out our second sponsor, and that is Coachify.gg. They're back again with us for another split here. Aegis Esports League of Legends is sponsored by Coachify.gg for our Winter 2024 split. They provide tools for esports coaches to manage their teams and players while also finding new students. That means making more money. Click the panel located below the stream to check out their website if you are interested in more information, and I'm sure that you are. So while you're checking that out, we're going to take a spectator delay break, and when we return, it will be Game 2 of Dorado Esports Psy against Conduit Esports Phoenix. You do not want to miss it. Hello, everybody, and we are back once again for game number 2 of this series between the top 2 teams in the APL thus far. That's right, it's Dorado Gaming Psy taking on CPX. Once again, Dorado Gaming Psy taking the advantage in the first game, and they are going to be in a 5-stack here. They got the Nautilus, and we'll see what they can do with it here as they are going to make their way in. They're going to get the flash out of that Maokai early on. that could have implications towards the early jungle pathing and more. Looks like they're at least going to push forward to possibly get a ward down here, but no, Sunrai getting reeled in.
Yeah, both teams, similar to last game actually, able to get a ward on the opposite side of the camp. So you can see the blue side has a ward on the Raptors, as well as red side getting ward on Raptors as well. So, but Cooper actually able to sweep this one out, giving level 2 over to Efron off that first initial wave. So a slight little benefit here for Efron in the mid lane. But overall, probably expecting things to be fairly simple. Unfortunately, like we were saying, the swaps did come through for Conduit Phoenix. We built up in the jungle, Zach top, Maokai support, which the overall combination of things, this is definitely the best 3 that they could have came up with. I mean, in theory, obviously there's been some Belveths and solo queue for support. Zach could theoretically go, but at least like with Maokai, it's like Zach's been doing really well in the top lane due to some of the health changes and his overall damage he can do in some of these trades. Overall, I mean, I think even this game in particular, though, he might actually struggle a little bit against the Aatrox in particular because of the overall his like sustained damage that he has, plus the fact that Stubby might have a hard time actually getting in range to really deal with this Aatrox damage unless he's actually slingshotting forward to get on top of the Aatrox, which might put him in a very dangerous situation.
Yeah,
but overall, I mean, so far in both junglers pathing up towards their respective top laners. I don't imagine actually Lilia doing camps for the top segment, pathing down actually, as Belveth has already done 3 camps working on her actually skipped the bot side camps and immediately went towards the top side.
Yeah, and with Lilia pathing back down to, or pathing down to bot, it is going to be, you know, both junglers going opposite ways, so we could definitely kind of strengthens the argument for a gank here in the top lane, and Stubby going to be sidestepping these Qs from Gabriel Leo. He's going to have to get creative with how he uses this elastic slingshot because of the ability of Aatrox to interrupt it, you know, with each one of those Qs and etc. So, but we'll see how he plays it out here.
It does look like actually Belveth is considering doing a reverse clear, going back towards the bottom side as well. She kind of did it, wanted to do her top side camps first and wanted to go back towards the bottom side of the map. So Lilia will be ahead of the Belveth by about a camp or so. So depending on who actually has the push in the bottom side of the map, they could actually make a play up towards the Scuttle Crab in the river, as Lilia does look like she's going to be finishing up that Gromp. May even look for a bottom play as Not So Dark kind of posturing, looking for a ward, doesn't actually quite plant it, but Sapling does explode on the Lilia. Plentiful of wards coming down towards that champion. They recognize the fact that the river should be controlled by the Lilia at this current time.
Yep, for now, just going to be that Scuttle Crab taken down. Other Scuttle Crab still is available, but we could see a gank into this mid lane as Dabs is going to be in a precarious situation. Just Cooper is going to land the slow stun coming through, and it's going to be first blood for Just Cooper. Just a drive-by gank on his way to grabbing this Scuttle Crab, or even potentially to the top side. But now, in response, we got a gank by Nation who is going to get ignited up by Sunrise, trying to intimidate him.
Speaking of drive-by,
yeah, Just Cooper actually has completed the scuttle on his way to get Stubby here, who's going to blob out before he's able to use the elastic slingshot, or was on cooldown. Not sure which one it's going to be. And not only is he going to lose the blobs, but he's also going to lose his life. And that is a clean sequence from Just Cooper. You know, that's about, feels good for the jungler of Dorado Gaming.
Exactly. Successful gank mid right into Scuttle Crab, and hey, might as well kill the top laner too, as we're talking. I mean, both Stubby and Dabs actually choosing to not flash to escape their eventual ganks. So unfortunate timing for both of them, as they would have really obviously liked to have survived those ganks, as Gabriel doing a good chunk of damage once again. And it's a similar situation as last game, where Gabriel has his TP still up, so as long as he doesn't actually die in this trade to Stubby, he's coming out with much more advantage here.
Oh, the E still on cooldown here from Zach for another moment. Oh, but now it's Gabriel Leo, after getting hit with the Q there, does have to flash away. So both top laners now without flash. Aatrox going to be low under this turret, but Stubby doesn't have those blobs, not wanting to suicide under to try to make that one happen. So yeah, like you said, both top laners going to back off, but only one of them has teleport, and it's Gabriel Leo. On the bottom side of the map, Conduit Esports Phoenix, they did have enough control to grab that dragon, And, you know, again, we're just going to see that same trade as the first game, with the Grubs going down to the red side team.
Yeah, it's the same trade as last game, but last game the gold lead was about like 8k even. This game is a 2,000 gold, close to 2,000 gold lead here for the side of Dorado Gaming side once they kind of collect some of these minions. A big part of it was the fact that obviously Lilia very far ahead of the Belveth, up about 1k gold, but even this Aatrox as well, like up 20 CS in the matchup here for Gabriel Lilia. And we saw last game, fairly rough performance coming through from Gabriel Lilia, but a really good bounce back game here so far for him in this one. If they're looking to kind of keep on pushing in this Zac, because Zac doesn't really have the range. Like Aatrox is a AD caster when it goes to like most of his damage coming through, and Zac just doesn't really have the range really to even try to threaten the Aatrox at most stages of the game.
I mean, it was always a question of when, not if, Aatrox would take control of this matchup, but because of the early lead here from Gabriel Leo, you know, he's just really able to flex his muscles here. Last game, Cassante, as Gabriel Leo, he's just looking to potentially proxy, although it is going to be a 1v2 here with Nation in the area. He is able to dash over the wall for now. Nation not going to be able to land the knockup, and now it is the ult dropped from Aatrox, trying to get away from Dabs as well. Does he have the E up at a moment? He does. No flash available, remember, he's able to sidestep the Lux ultimate and get out shot free, except just kidding, as Nation gonna flash forward, and he does land that knockup. Gabriel Leo fancying potentially the 1v2. Knockup gonna land from Stubby, as there's been so many sidesteps, but Lux going to be able to land the binding. Gabriel Leo playing with fire for too long, and he gets burned. But on the other side, Just Cooper going to make sure that kill is secured on to Not So Dark. And Domination now, why were you staying in this area? He's gonna get hooked, hooked under the turret. Last shot from 2-5 doesn't have enough. The Ignite just finished off ticking prior to that, and now the flash forward not gonna land from Sunrise. Domination, can he stand behind these minions and make something happen? It's not going really low as the Nautilus, but now gonna be able to walk out. Whew. And so all in all, it's just one kill on both sides. Gabriel Leo taking a lot of time and time away from the enemy, but eventually going down, and then on the bot side again mirrored. So that seems to be the theme.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I'm really surprised Gabriel Leo didn't just end up just walking away and surviving, because he knew
just go under the turret.
Yeah, because like he knew Lux was coming. At least he should have known, because not only was Lux also pathing up, but there was a Lux ultimate that came towards him, so he should have had an idea that Lux was somewhat in the vicinity of trying to make a play onto him, but instead ended up trying to kind of fight it out a little bit. Obviously paying for his life, but honestly, I think he probably could have outright killed the Belveth, because she was only level 5 and he had the World Ender going, so the amount of extra AD he was getting from World Ender plus his overall damage is really, really high at the stage of the game. So, but instead ended up trying just to walk it away, but unfortunately did end up dying at the same time. But we saw the interaction there at the very end of the bot play, where the Lily also came through, and as long as the MF props uses her ultimate ability as the slip is coming through, it will result in the sleep not being activated. Sunrise once again being active on the map early and often.
Not able to land the dredge line. He's not level 6 yet, so it wouldn't have put him in ultimate range since he does not have an ultimate, but it's Nation getting bullied out of his own jungle. Now the enemy mid laner going to be stunning him up, and he's gonna get Syndra'd going down to Efron. First kill of the game is now Dab's going to land a huge Lux ultimate on the multiple members, but will they be able to take anybody down as Stubby in the thick of it? But now Gabriel Leo not going down, and she should be able to dash over the wall in a second, and just Conduit Esports Phoenix not quite able to finish him off. Almost looks like we're watching in League of Legends in slow motion or something like that, with how these teams are being so strategic how they move around the map. And this time, I mean, it is Dorado Gaming. We've seen some even trades in some places around the map, Ryan, but you know, like you pointed out earlier, it was a 2k gold lead, now it's a 3k gold lead. So overall continues to expand, and Stubby gonna blob out for the second time this game, as
had the damage.
The rest of the squad is getting the actually he's not gonna be able to finish it, because the rest of the team is gonna be here. And Lux ultimate doesn't land, flash for Gabriel Leo, and now flash away from Stubby to answer. gets a little bit of health back from that Q. Now he's able to sidestep the E. The root not gonna land. I'm not sure if he flashed that or if he flashed earlier, but either way, it will be Gabriel Leo able to stay alive, but not picking up the kill. Back now without the passive, and actually Gabriel Leo is gonna stay. Lux maybe could have canceled that recall, but does not do so. Maybe did not see Aatrox in time, and Dorado does pick up the dragon to answer. Okay, woo, the health bars are so low. And now speaking of low health bars in the bot lane, Not So Dark is going to go down. Here comes Belveth into the top lane, actually now going around the long way for some reason, and it is going to be Stubby. Either way, doesn't even need the jungler's help, as it will be Zac somehow picking up the solo kill, and Gabriel Leo continuing to limit test here in the top lane. Game 1 and now in game 2 as well.
Yeah, I think limit testing is a probably nice way of putting it, I think. Considering the fact that both of his deaths have been fairly egregious.
They've been avoidable, I would say.
Yeah, avoidable. But overall, I mean, once again, like we're just saying, like, you know, Dorado just making all kinds of plays across the map so far. Really, I mean, all of their kills right now sitting on Lilio, so 3 good kills, so 2-5 getting engaged upon.
Yeah, Not So Dark taking a lot of damage, but now it's MF who is in danger. He is able to sidestep the Aphelios ultimate there, so will not go down, but now having to go back to the base as these top laners, they don't stop fighting. Stubby wants to use the teleport to get right back into it, but having a hard time getting that recall off. Aatrox just able to use the outer reaches of those Qs to interrupt, and now Stubby, even though he doesn't have the blobs, he's so low, one auto attack will do it. Gabriel Leo now picking up his own solo kill. I don't know if Lily got the assist, but you know, it was really in spirit. Now it's Efron who's going to be in trouble as this game does not stop. A shutdown over to Belveth. So still that 3k gold lead, but you know, I mean, again, CPX, you can tell why they're a team that was 4-0 coming into this. Even when they're falling behind, they still are looking for plays. They don't look demoralized.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can do, right? I mean, like, even though you're losing, like, you're able to get the numbers advantage up here in the bot lane.
Ooh, Sunrise trying to get himself to safety under the turret and will do so, but it's going to be Nation getting that kill in the reset. It will be traded over, but you know, a trade 1-for-1 when you're behind, you'll take it. However, it's only a 1-for-1 for so long because 2-5 gonna pick up that kill. I don't know if Maokai maybe could have pathed differently, but
yeah, definitely could have, considering the fact that Aphelios also walked around and they both came from the same position. But yeah, I mean, like I was saying, I mean, recognizing the fact they have the numbers advantage in the mid lane, recognizing they could actually pick up the kill there onto Efron, so kudos to them, not just saying, hey, well, we're losing, kind of just rolling over, but bot lane play, I mean, they just kind of went too far underneath the tower. Not only was able to hook Belveth under the tower, able to get an easy 1-for-1 there, which I mean could have really been the end of it. 1-for-1, not really that big of a deal, but a poor path decision from Not So Dark ends up resulting in his kill, and that was a flash from Just Cooper.
Yeah, what? Yeah, I don't know if he was flashing in reaction to, you know, if he was trying to flash away from the hook from Sunrise or something, you know, feeling what Nation maybe was feeling there. But the Belveth actually doesn't have flash and doesn't have to use it. Just Cooper will not have that one in the future, but the Rift Herald is started up here. Nation trying to stay in the area. It will be aware that this one has been started, but not really able to do anything about it, as now 2-5 is going to be in a 1v2 domination, hoping to pick up this kill. Ignite is down. I'm not sure. The Q coming through from Not So Dark should be soon. Ultimate from Aphelios. It will be the shutdown going to the Maokai. They want to make sure they secure it. Probably not any way to get it to the Aphelios, but better to pick it up than not, because that was a good chunk of gold. I think it was 764 or something, some weird amount.
Yeah, it got the shutdown for 450, plus the kill gold there coming over the way, so... but still, I mean, it is into being a kill. I mean, of course, would love for it to be on the hook landing, though.
Nation is going to get dove under this turret, which has almost died, but the attention has instead turned to Belveth, who is going to go down. Dab's able to do a good amount of damage to this Nautilus, but not going to pull the trigger on ultimate until now. And it looked like that one either missed or did not kill him. But the other.
Yeah, and once again, Dorado was making several plays back to back here, not really kind of leaving up on the underfoot there. Unfortunately, that shutdown onto the MF did go over to the Maokai. So even though the gold is still, like, you know, Still 3.5k, that additional 700 gold. They would have loved to get that on the Aphelios, but like you said, getting the kill there in general will always be better than just like not having to kill, right? But I mean, I think for Conduit Phoenix, they're not completely out of the game just yet. I think you know, Bubba's sitting at 2 and 3 with the Kraken Slayer. I mean, Luck's still farming up fairly well in the mid lane, hence to be a really good source of damage. And you know, we've seen Dorado, you know, obviously even from like last game, feel like a little bit overconfident at times, make some pretty rough decisions. But overall, playing this game out relatively smoothly, I would say. Besides maybe the fiasco that's been happening top lane with the constant fighting up here.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and Stubby does it. Oh, he's gonna be able to use the ultimate, knocking Gabriel Leo back into the turret. I mean, they're just having fun up there, Orion.
I mean, if Stubby basics and TPs to this play, it could be absolutely huge for Conduit Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, it's all fun and games until the Zac teleports into your team and your top laner died. And it's going to be just Cooper engaged on, and what an engage it was, but Nation is going to be traded back because 2-5 doing a lot of damage on that MF ultimate, but now Stubby still sitting pretty in the middle of the team, not so dark, getting hooked up, and now going to survive, but Sunrise traded, double root coming through for the Lux, but it's going to be the cleanse from 2-5, keeping him alive, and Efron and 2-5 still on the backside of this fight, but now it's Gabriel Leo who's respawned, and he has something to say about this fight. What will he be able to do? I don't think any more kills coming through from this Aatrox because he won't be able to get to the turret, and Zac able to bounce away. So really, actually, at the end of the day, not much out of that teleport at all. 2-5. Oh, Zac, he can't connect the Q. He's just gonna walk away, but no scuttle. Scuttle denied.
Is going to be able to walk away with Dragon. Obviously not dead quite yet. Just could probably be a reset for both these teams, and probably going to go right back over to that Dragon in about 30 seconds or so. But like I said, with top lane actually dying there from Gabriel Leo, Stubby actually able to TP first, affect this team fight first, 5 versus 4. And unfortunately, he had a great engage, actually got both carries and slammed them together, but didn't have the ultimate because he just used it, obviously, to kill Gabriel Leo. Would have been at a huge Infernum ulti over the top as well. Cooper actually ulting here.
All right, Dabs is going to be one hit. Is going to go low, continuing to tick down from the Lilia, but the red buff helping to survive. No, Lux is going to eventually go down. Nation gonna find the steal. 1v5 over the wall. And for the second time this series, does manage to find a steal as just Cooper, maybe trying to get some revenge, but not willing to go that deep.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just a dragon, so you know, it's not like the Baron like it was last time, but Dorado, we'll see what they can get back on this push, because you know, I guess they didn't get the dragon out of it.
Yeah, I mean, overall though, I mean, it is just the second dragon of the game. It's not really like it's a soul point.
5k gold lead.
If it was soul point, if that stolen dragon was 3-0, then I think it's fairly okay for Belveth to go for that. But overall, I mean, Dorado ends up getting a whole lot more overall gold out of that play because of the fact that they lost more members. But overall, not so dark. Trying to look for a play here, and it's just him.
Looks like
getting
he might be far away from the team here. As just Cooper, we'll see if they can try to make something happen, but the Lilia always deceivingly tanky. And yeah, I mean, there's a good amount of cooldowns expended there, but not so dark, just really reaching in that situation. Not enough follow-up from the squad. And Conduit Esports Phoenix, we will see what they have in their back pocket. You know, as far as scaling, maybe they can finally find a fight with the Domination's Aphelios, because it seems like they haven't, you know, like you said, Orion, there's been opportunities. We really haven't seen that pop-off moment from what can be this late-game scaling AD carry. Also, he only has one item done, so he's not really late game yet.
Yeah, I agree, and I think overall, I mean, he could be sitting in a much better position, but the fact that he is kind of like a 1.5 items, he could eventually ramp up into that kind of like late game monster we've seen Aphelios kind of become. But he's only sitting at 128 CS at 20 minutes, so definitely on the lower end in terms of like his scaling potential in terms of actually getting back into this game. So far, still relatively a long ways to go until he's going to become a legitimate threat for, I think, for Dorado Gaming's side. I think if you are Dorado Gaming, I think you do need to kind of take your golden and really kind of push the pace of the game and not really let this Aphelios or even this like Luxor or Velvet to kind of get back into this game, right? Because you have a Lilia, you have a Misfortune setting up vision around this Baron side and choking them out of their vision and their camps is going to be absolutely massive for them up on this side of the map. And really, they have the chance to do it. So far, I mean, I think if I was Dorado Gaming, I'd be saying, hey, it's like, we just need to play around this Baron, get rid of all the vision they have them walk into us, and just use our chain CC abilities and say, okay, well, you're not allowed to play the game anymore because you can't see anything. And face checking into a Nautilus, a Misfortune, a Syndra can very easily just be signing your own death warrant.
Yeah, and can see kind of the struggle, the juxtaposition here in the top lane as the outer turret is going to be taken by Dorado. Meanwhile, it is domination in the mid lane, raiding away that turret. It looks like he will be able to get to safety for now. And look at this, actually 1v1 in the bottom lane is Gabriel Leo. You know, even with the ultimate falling really far behind in that, his build is really troll. What the hell? Like, why does this, like, I imagine, I mean, I don't know if you should be building Black Cleaver as your first item, but I mean, probably you'd be fine if you built Black Cleaver. I mean, you're going to want that. I don't know. You built healing reduction. We got to send him some LS videos.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably, I guess it's probably just because the fact that he's sitting with Zach and the amount of killing he has, but just Cooper.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I get that. All right, just Cooper, though. He is going to go low. MF Ultimate has gotten a good amount of time to channel, but it doesn't have enough to finish anybody off. So, you know, it's a 1-for-0 there, 1-for-0 on the other side of the map as well. And this does just buy more time. You know, no objectives being taken immediately other than that turret. But it just buys more time for CPX to get over the hump. I mean, Nation looks like he should be going down.
I think he's dead.
I think Nautilus is going to get the last hit. Yeah, I mean, Dorado, we'll see if they want to capitalize on that. I do feel like once Lux kind of gets to this point of 2 items, especially like 3 items, it does get to that point where it's really hard to get the waves pushed in as consistently against her for Dorado. So, you know, as you said, this is kind of the time to put your foot on the gas pedal and try to force a fight unless you want Lux to stall out the game for a really long time.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think obviously right now, I think Dorado is kind of setting up the area here for their second dragon of the game, because unfortunately the previous one did get stolen by Nacian. But overall, I think they definitely need to kind of keep, you know, using their goalie, using their pressure. They haven't really quite been able to set up the Baron side of the map as well as I would personally like them to, in terms of actually, you know, really pushing this game forward, because they should be able to get the mid push relatively easily with the MF. I mean, the MF should always be able to kind of pressure if it is kind of off the wave with just her E to kind of slow it down. But Stubby looking for Gabriel Leo again.
And it looks like for now, not much more going to be happening. Maybe Gabriel Leo aware of Belveth being in the area, but because of that Belveth showing, that does signal for Dorado Gaming that it could be safe for them to start out this Baron, or at least force the hand of CPX to come into the area. Oh no, Lilia gonna get looted by the Lux, and Just Cooper is gonna fall down. Not a good start to the fight, as now 2-5 on MF. Needs to be able to reposition into a better spot. Flashing away. They will have safety under this turret for Dorado Gaming. And Gabriel Leo's trying to push that mid lane to make something happen, but now the force under the turret, 2-5, not gonna end up getting hit, and he still has the ultimate, and the bullet time going to be channeled, but now Nation able to get behind it, and Gabriel Leo coming in with the teleport. Crazy fight going on under the turret, as Nation eventually going to fall down to the turret. Not so dark had fallen as well. Stubby going to be the next one for Gabriel Leo, but he's gonna blob out, and domination now is here. No AD carry on the other side, no damage whatsoever to answer, as it finally is Aphelios' moment to make it happen. We waited 25 minutes, but domination lives up to his name, wins the team fight, and they will be able to get that outer turret. I don't think they're going to get anything more. Of course, it wouldn't be this series if they could.
Yeah, exactly. It is going to be a reset here, most likely coming through from Conduit Phoenix. We saw domination finally starting in a couple of kills there. But like I said about 10 minutes ago, Dorado Gaming sometimes likes to get a little bit cocky in some of their games. So that they got to step too far forward, they have to control areas they shouldn't be controlling. And unfortunately, 2 times in a row, and they almost the exact same location. It ends up biting them in the butt here for just Cooper getting caught out again in the river, and then the chase down commences afterwards. Chasing all the way up to this tier 1, multiple kills going over to Conduit Phoenix, and you know we saw the TP coming through Gabriel, almost able to turn it back around, but with 2-5 and Efron, the main inventory is being caught out.
Gabriel Leo
low.
Another critical Lux binding going to catch him out. He will be able to use the World Ender to get away, but remember, he doesn't have teleport, used it earlier. So now we'll see, is this going to be another Baron start from CPX? It looks like it will be, because Gabriel Leo not able to be useless in this fight. Would he just get one shot by the Lux ult, which is of course up in about 5 seconds, because it's up all the time now. And Dorado, though, they do remember, they do remember last game when CPX was able to get the steal. They have dreams perhaps of their own. Baron not going down very quickly. Yeah, I mean, so both teams chances, I mean, they want to finish it. It is going to go down low here, and I don't think that Dorado's going to be able to get into a position to steal it. They want to perhaps look for a fight afterwards instead, now that they are 5v5 Sunrise, perhaps thinking about it, going to get the hook onto Not So Dark's Maokai, who is going to bounce away. Will they be able to continue it? Flashes forward now, still going after this Maokai, who is not necessarily the ideal target, but now Domination having to flash away, sidestepping the Lilia. Seed. They're going to push in top for Dorado, and we'll see how much more they can get, because the resets are coming through from CPX. Of course, the fighting will always continue, except maybe not right now. We'll see. Dorado's got multiple members basing in a little bit of a precarious spot, so they will back off from that. You're going to have to probably go pretty far back here to find a place to recall, but they finally will do so.
Yeah, and the gold lead all of a sudden is right back down to 0. Right, it's only a 500 gold lead in it, 27 minutes. This amount of gold lead means basically nothing. Every single buddy's gonna be on the direct same items coming through, and we kind of talked about it, right? We talked about the potential for the scaling, potential to kind of come back into the game for Conduit Phoenix, and all of a sudden, even though the game's momentum has definitely shifted over towards, you know, Conduit Phoenix, the game is definitely not out of Dorado Gaming size hands whatsoever. This upcoming Drake is just the sole point coming through for both of these teams. That doesn't necessarily super matter for either of them to pick this one up, besides, you know, setting themselves up for the eventual soul point to come. But it does look like, you know, Conduit Phoenix is going to be able to set this objective first. They've already kind of placed some vision around getting those saplings tossed. This is another reason why Maokai is so strong in a competitive setting. You can kind of just walk into any bush you want and just chuck up these saplings that give you vision, as well as slow as when someone walks into those bushes. Very, very powerful, as we do see Dorado trying to gain control over the mid lane priority here, but Dragon's already been taken on us and being hooked up as well. Kind of posturing for a fight a little bit. Aatrox does have a pretty good fucking Aphelios.
Okay. Yep, we can see this 1v1 is not where Aphelios wants to be, continuing to play out here, and it is going to be the huge shutdown for Gabriel Leo. But on the other side, it's Efron going down to Syndra, no longer alive. But remember, MF still does have this bully time, as Stubby in the middle of 3. He's really tanky, but only for so long, as now the shutdown going to belong to 2-5 on the MF, who's finally able to channel the bullet time. Not So Dark into the Blackline cleanse coming through, and MF is able to survive the fight, as Nation does win the 1v1 against Gabriel Leo. But for the first time in a while, it feels like Dorado Gaming has the advantage here, as now Nation is looking for the MF, but she's going to be able to run away so fast. And now I don't think Velvet is able to win this 1v2. It would take, you know, it's a dream. Nation surviving for a long time, but it's only so long, as it's finally just Cooper picking up that additional gold. And so now Dorado Gaming, they do catapult back into the gold lead by 3,000. I can imagine that they've got a lot of gold in their pockets. And yes, looking at it, almost 2,000 for 2-5, even before this turret presumably goes down. So that is a very, very rich MF. Also Lilia, almost 2k gold as well. So that's going to be big for Dorado, as we look forward towards, you know, not another 2.5 minutes towards the next neutral objective.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. Dorado once again feeling very, very good about themselves. And we saw the fact that Conduit Phoenix able to get position first. They already pick up the dragon, but afterwards Conduit was like, okay, let's just pick up a fight. But the fight was so spread out. We saw Aatrox flanking the Aphelios, able just to 1v1 him. It's a 1v1 unless Aphelios has red white. He's not a great 1v1 champion. So actually it was just to get completely bursted by the Aatrox there, and really we saw Nacian tried to pull off some heroics to the backside, able to pick up I think 2 kills of his own onto the Nautilus and to the Aatrox, but wasn't quite able to do. And actually not quite the Nautilus. It was Efron and Gabriel who actually went down in that fight as well. So unfortunately for them, wasn't quite able to pick up enough of the kills, but still. Game's still relatively close. Lux almost sitting on 3 items with a death cap to be coming in as well. Aphelios has now reached that 3-item marker as well. Will be doing a ton of damage in these team fights. If he's able to sit there and auto attack things, he will be able to dish out a lot of damage. But the one to really keep your eye on this game is going to be 2-5. Sitting on 4 items now. Lots of lethality. He will be absolutely shredding anybody that doesn't have a good source of armor to come through on anyone on the side of Conduit Phoenix's team. But as of right now, both teams, not a whole lot of action happening right now because there's no real major objectives up on the map, both Dragon and Baron being dead. But Baron, it will be spawning in about a minute's time, so you can kind of see lots of hovering, lots of ward placements, lots of kind of figuring things out over here, not wanting to let either team pick up this Baron Nashor.
Yeah, and you could see there that the Syndra did have to be the one to answer Zac in the top wave, just due to Gabriel Leo having used the teleport, so only now able to recall back to the base. Ultimately, Baron not up for another 30 seconds, so it doesn't seem like it's going to matter. Just those little lane assignments and things that become so crucial as we eclipse this 30-minute mark. Gabriel Leo will have his teleport as well back in a few moments, so that will be an option. But any fight now could certainly end the game, as Just Cooper is going to be able to flash away from the Zac, and that's going to be the Maokai ultimate utilized. Will be now on cooldown for some time, and so we'll see if Dorado can take advantage of that. It's a pretty big team fight tool down for CPX.
And it is a fairly long cooldown. It's a 1.5-minute cooldown, so it definitely won't be up for obviously. For,
no luck, though.
No, it's actually hold on.
Oh, somehow able to have a sick sidestep onto the light binding there. Almost certainly would have been dead otherwise. This nation is going to get tagged by the Lilia, but they're going to back off now. Dorado, they are able to create. They are in this situation. Well, they're not created. There's a situation that's created is by CPX, because they obviously if they take the dragon, it's going to be a soul, whereas Dorado doing the same thing, not nearly as valuable. And I don't know what Dorado's plan is here. They should have seen that ward go down, and so they should know that the Baron is just being taken.
Yeah,
so yeah, I guess we're just getting that one at the top.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much to Aphelios. Like I said, Aphelios absolutely shred this objective. It's not last game. You don't have a Caitlyn. You don't have Ziggs, and it's just 2 champions that absolutely demolish the objectives. We do see obviously Efron and 2-5 pushing it in the bottom side. They look at 2 towers, but now Blue side has the Baron buff. They're just going to absolutely base rate your base, and no one is basing. We see TP coming from Efron, but he might just die.
Yeah, he's gonna have to run away once he's under this turret and the base of Prestige. What's going on? Okay, they are gonna have to back off now. Lilia is able to stay and finish that dragon, it looks like. But now it is Sunrise just gonna be caught in the middle of nowhere and gonna die for free. I mean, now the rest of Dorado Gaming, they're gonna be split up. Their base has been opened, and you can't help but think that this might be the end, potentially. It could be a game thrown by Dorado. Yeah, it's 3v5 for about another 20 seconds at least until Nautilus comes up. 40 seconds on Just Cooper. Just Nexus turrets here. We'll see if CPX can force it.
They're definitely going to look here. I mean, they don't have knockout anymore, and they do have Stuffy who can just kind of go in.
All right, Subby gonna go in. The bullet time is gonna be a crucial cooldown to look at, trying to make sure he gets the minions, and there he goes. Most of them are gonna go down, but we also have those grubblings, and that's gonna be the next turret. The Nexus is gonna be the focus as members from Dorado are starting to spawn back up, but it doesn't matter because the Nexus is dead. And that is gonna be CPX. They don't give up. And it is going to be the first game loss for Dorado here in the APL, sending us to a game number 3 in this series. Two good teams, top of the table. I don't know, we thought maybe we could expect something different after that first game, but not going to be the case. No early bedtime, no boomer Friday night bedtime for us, Orion. We're going to game 3.
It certainly looked like this game was going to be pretty easy for Dorado Gaming. I mean, I think it was like a 20-minute marker, 6,000 gold lead, but unfortunately, them pretty poor setup around the Baron. They kind of aimlessly walked around the river for several minutes. Cooper got caught several times along with Sunrise in that river area, and it allowed for Phoenix Conduit to kind of get their way back into this game. Of course, Dorado finished that game. They lost the game with the gold lead. Like the fact that it's just those couple of kills around on the back end there to kind of get to propel Conduit Phoenix into a pushing of the Nexus and just kind of steamrolling them in the base takes us to a game 3.
Certainly does. And so in the interest of getting there, we are going to take a little bit of a break. And when we come back, we'll be here for the draft to determine the victor of this game. Conduit Esports Phoenix tying it up here against Dorado Gaming Psy in game 2. We'll be back in just a few moments. See you then. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Game 3 of this exciting competition between Dorado Gaming and Conduit Esports Phoenix. And we are well into the draft here. Right away, we're keeping it speedy for you. We got the bands flying out. You know, no big surprises here, at least for Dorado. On the other side, CPX, they are going to take away once again that Bygar Ivern. This time, the Maokai going away. They don't want Dorado getting their hands on that, but the other long range engage open is the Ashe, and Dorado, they are going to snatch that one up. CPX, they don't want a third game of going against that Lilia. They're going to take it themselves alongside Varus. So taking a couple, well, potentially Varus at least. So taking a couple of pages out of Dorado's book, should they lock that in.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of priority on the Lilia this series in particular. Obviously, like you mentioned, two games for Cooper, and obviously, and one game here for the Saiyan over on Conduit Phoenix side. Obviously, you know, it is a very strong champion on the patch, especially considering the fact that Rhythmaker and Leandries is just two very powerful items in combination. So any champion that's able to build those items seems to be doing really, really strong on the new season. But like you mentioned, Varus in tow to kind of match the Ashe in the bot lane in particular with the kind of the poke and the priority, as well as the first time Nocturne coming through for Dorado Gaming side. So turning off the lights, kind of making the game a little bit more hectic to come through. Curious to see what Dorado, I would imagine it's gonna be a support option here. It's what they've done the first 3 games, but instead gonna actually pick up their mid laner. It's what I wanted to see that game 1. I wanted to see a solo lane before actually picking your support to kind of give a little bit of variance to the draft a little bit. Potentially waiting to see exactly what Conduit wanted to pick up here. Going with a safe blind. Also, I mean, with the change to how the ball works in combination with Nocturne, you can have Nocturne fly in with the Oriana ball. Much
shockwave, I think.
Exactly.
Right.
Much smoother. Yep. As long as the ball doesn't go too terribly far, it will kind of stay within that tether. But Zach pick will be kind of coming through for Conduit Phoenix side once again for Stubby up in the top lane. He liked that matchup. Kind of wants to go for it again. I would imagine here for Conduit Phoenix, most likely banning away champions that he doesn't want to face up against on that top side of the map. Tunnel ban coming through. He might end up banning away that Aatrox as well. It was very deadly against him in lane in particular. Obviously ended up winning the game. But wasn't super enjoyable for him, I would say, in the laning phase as a whole. But you know, maybe he's understands the matchup a little bit better this time around and wants to kind of play that one again. We will kind of see if we do see a Lux ban coming through from Dorado Gaming side.
Yeah, I mean, and I will say about, I think like maybe like something like 20 minutes or something like that into the game, you know, Zach actually ended up being tied in gold with Aatrox around that point. So, you know, I would personally, I would chalk it up to some of the interesting plays early on there from Gabriel Leo, more so than the matchup in reality. But it looks like Trundle, I mean, and Mordekaiser both make a lot of sense as far as hard counters to Zach, as Alistar going to be considered here, but instead maybe thinking about a different melee support. Tariq, we'll see what they end up locking in for the bot lane here. Ashe, you know, still the only bot lane lock-in with no support bans really to speak of here. So lots of possibilities for Dorado, especially against this Alistar. I mean, if they could pick up something range support here, it could really punish the bot lane as CPX.
Yeah, I'm a little curious to see what exactly they plan on doing, because so far, I mean, Sunrise, he did play Renato last week, but I believe this guy primarily does prefer to play the engaged type of supportive champions. I haven't really seen a traditional like poke enchanter type of lane from Sunrise. I wouldn't necessarily consider Renata a poke champion. She's just a range champion per se, but that's an Alawi.
All right.
Okay. I mean, I will say a little interesting just because Alawi is typically good at against teams that are wanting to come into her and dive on top of her. So far, that's probably only going to be Zach. Alistar doesn't have to dive on top of the Alawi to be successful. I mean, Varus and Lilia can just kind of kite the Alawi fairly okay. So we'll kind of see how that one ends up playing out. I would imagine Alawi probably be sit in a side lane the entire time. I'm a little curious to see if she will have enough damage right, to deal with Zach's healing.
I mean, it might be Zach mid. They could. I mean, I feel like Zach into Oriana, like obviously you're going to take a lot of damage early on, but you can sustain through a decent amount of it as things go on. I mean, we'll see.
I mean, that is an Akshan hover. That could be what they're thinking. They could be thinking Zach solo lane as a swap and kind of sending up a matchup that could do fairly well into the Alawi. Akshan is one of those champs.
Yeah.
If it,
obviously a huge mainstay in the top lane of pro play as a bully champion for a long time, and it will get locked in. I mean, it could go mid as well, so there's still some flexibility, but I would bet that they want to avoid that counter pick from Alawi. You can't really swap the Alawi mid effectively because of the tentacles, although I know that there are some different, now they had changed. Initially, it seems like maybe they didn't take her into account very well when they made the changes to Summoner's Rift, but she has been updated since then, and I know when that happened. Anyways, we don't need to get too far into it, but her tentacles reach a lot further now. So long story short, it would be a problem for Zach to go against the Alawi top lane, presumably. But we thought it was going to be a problem to go into Aatrox, so.
Well, I mean, it was definitely a problem in lane, right? And
it was.
I think Gabriel Leo definitely made quite a bit of mistakes in that game in particular to kind of let the Zach kind of come back into the game, because he was up like 30 CS. I think at one point it was like 50 to 25, somewhere around that area of exact number of CS, and doing fairly well at his lane, and then made several really rough mistakes under the tower to let Zach get back into the game and kind of force his way back into a fairly okay situation. But I'm a little curious to see. Obviously, I would imagine Alawi will have a fairly okay time into the Zach, but I just don't know exactly, because like Alawi is usually really good at drawing members to a side lane, having her like deal with multiple members and kind of go with it like that. I just don't know if she actually has enough damage in the kit to deal with Zach's healing without. I mean, maybe some form of executioners will actually come through to kind of deny some of the healing to come through, but I actually just don't really know. I haven't really seen Alawi all that much against Zach in particular. And like you mentioned, the tentacles did get increased range, so that is a fairly healthy change for Alawi's. I think when the season first started, Alawi's tentacles never hit anything, specifically in top lane, because it was just so wide. It was fairly miserable for Alawi. So now they can, because I think the range went from like 450 to like 650. It was some crazy number.
Yeah, I mean, it had to be. They didn't have a choice. Yeah, I mean, they wanted to keep her relevant.
But overall, I mean, I think in terms of the compositions, it's kind of similar to last game, where you've got a team fight composition coming through from Dorado Gaming's side. They really like to have these compositions, but Gabriel Leo will likely be kind of doing his own thing the entire game, and Conduit Phoenix is actually a fairly stable poke composition, but the one thing that poke compositions almost always struggle when it comes to dealing with is like snap engaged compositions, right? Nocturne Oriana is really, really great at that, right? The turning out the lights, diving forward, shockwave onto Varus and Jace, and they can really, really struggle. But outside of Nocturne Oriana, the follow-up isn't really there. Unless we're comboing Renata Glass Ultimate with the Berserk coming through across multiple members, and Ashe is able to free hit. Outside of that, there's not a whole lot of extra follow-up CC that's going to be able to come through. So I think if Conduit is able to actually survive the initial engage, the brunt of the engage from the Nocturne of the Oriana, they might actually have a lot of success, even though they are a poke composition, because Alistar can just kind of, like, as Nocturne and Oriana are diving onto his backline, he can just walk at the enemy team's backline and say, hey, Ashe, you're not allowed to play. I'm just going to knock you back, or even knock back the Alawi and say, hey, it's like, you're just going to get kited the entire fight. You're not going to ever get into the backline. And then Varus and Jace can just kind of deal with the Nocturne diving forward, because he's the only one that will be diving into the backline. Sure, he'll have a shockwave on top of him, but he won't have another dive buddy with him.
Yeah, that is a good point. This Renata Glass pick definitely, or presumably geared towards being able to control the lane a little bit more, but that is, kind of at what cost, and it is going to be that dive buddy, which has been Sunrise for the remainder of this series on that Nautilus. So we'll see how Dorado is able to play around that. I mean, Dorado's team composition is super ultimate cooldown dependent. So it's going to be pretty clear to us when they do and do not want to fight, and it's going to be all about using those key ultimates, especially for their jungle, mid, and AD at the right moments, because when those are down, they are going to be really vulnerable to the enemy team and the bounce. I hope we get at least one bouncy castle moment with Zach.
It's definitely very possible. I mean, Zach has 3 versions of knockups with EQ and Ultimate, and with obviously Alistar having WQ combo. So Bounce House is definitely a very real thing. And even like I said, with this Alawi, it's like if the Alawi is able to get kind of like into the thick of things, then of course she can very easily survive and kind of do a lot of damage. But she's gonna have a really hard time in these team fights. So she's gonna be in a side lane the entire game, trying to draw as many members to her. And I don't know if you see what I'm seeing, Elsa, but right now with 10 seconds left before a swap has to happen, Lilia is currently. Oh, never mind. Wait. We'll wait until actually 20 seconds.
We were so confident in ourselves there.
Man, I shouldn't have said anything. Crap.
Wow, actually, yeah. I mean, it is interesting because it ends up being this Zach top lane, which is, sort of originally what we presumed would be the case. So the pressure's on here for Gabriel Leo, no matter who's top lane, because of his lack of ability to be, perform in these team fights on the Alawi. It is going to be up to him to get that lead and become unmanageable. We'll find out if he can do it when we come back after the spectator delay, and then we'll find out who is going to stay on top of the APL when we come back.
Walking on the moon. One moment to escape.
Hello, everybody, and for the last time tonight, welcome back to Summoner's Rift for game number 3 of this best of 3 series in the Aegis Protector League. Dorado Gaming back where it all started on the blue side, coming out here. We're not going to get too many shenanigans, nobody wanting to throw this one away at level 1. And as we continue our thoughts about these team comps, Orion, I am interested, you were talking about the Nocturne being the only one to dive in. There's also just not a ton of peel here. Is the jungler is going to go, yes, junglers, sorry. The swaps tricked me. Going to go at it a little bit. Not a lot of peel here on the side of Dorado for these immobile carries. Sunrai going to have to kind of be the one on dedicated peel duty here for the Orianna and the Ashe if they want to survive in these team fights after that first burst of damage. So that's going to be something I have my eye on.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely can see if the Zac and this Alistar will be kind of getting on top of the backline. But I think, honestly, if you're Conduit Phoenix, I don't necessarily know how much diving this Alistar and this Zac will be doing. I think it's mostly going to be about Lilia, Chase, and Vera. It's just kind of poking around, seeing how much damage they can get onto Dorado Gaming size, champions. Because, I mean, if Orianna's getting poked out, or if even if Ashe is getting poked out of these fights, it's gonna be really hard for them to even want to step forward and keep on it, taking in all of this poke from Dabs and from Domination, right? So it can be pretty tough overall, I think, if they are able to get kind of poked out in some of these lanes. So I think at that point for Zac and Alistar, they might just be okay just kind of playing bodyguard, right? Because obviously it's Nocturne kind of has to go diving forward with the ultimate to really be useful in some of these team fights coming through. And if he's not ulting forward, then obviously he's just not really going to be accomplishing all that much.
Pretty quiet early on here. Everybody just farming it up. Gabriel Leo trading and is able to land the E there. If you've ever faced against Alawi, that is the most annoying thing in the world, and basically what her kit revolves around largely as far as her trading. So if you get hit with that E, it's not going to feel good. But Stubby somehow, I wouldn't even say sidestep that one, but now Gabriel Leo might be in a bad spot. It's a flash forward from the Zac. Will he be able to find the first blood? Flash in response. That's not what you want to be dealing with if you are Alawi in this matchup. Going with that corrupting potion early on, and we'll have that last stack of that one to chug down. Not something we see super often, but Stubby, his Zac, formidable.
Yeah, especially the fact that Nocturne's on the Krugs, right, and Lilia is pathing right up here with Alawi not having flash. It's pretty tough to survive.
Able to use that Q to zone away, but Stubby gonna take so much damage, not actually landing that knockup, and it will be the first blood going over to the red side. And remember, Zac having that passive to blob out, it will be popped, but he will not go down. So no trade kill for Gabriel Leo, who, CPX, as Nocturne, it's a new season, new ways to gank the bot lane. It's not so dark on the Alistar, not going to be so tanky early on. And it is a return kill here for the side of Dorado, able to pull off that gank into the bot lane, get that Alistar.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Not so dark. He had the opportunity to, he W'd forward onto Nocturne, able to get the spell shield off, and could have easily just flashed Renata. If he flashes the handshake coming from Renata, he 100% lives that situation, but goes on to his Cooper.
Just Cooper trying to make this lane gank happen, and not quite able to get the assist in from Orianna, as now Gabriel Leo, he falls for the bait once again, but this time Stubby does not have the blobs, and he will go down, and Gabriel Leo might just be able to run this one out. Nation able to land the last seed to make it a 1-for-1 trade, so at least he is able to get that. But for Alawi, you really need to start getting some golds to get snowballing. You got to start somewhere, and that somewhere is going to be right there for Gabriel Leo picking up the kill onto Stubby, who still probably has a little bit left on that Zac passive. I'm not sure exactly what the cooldown is early on, but
it is.
Another 3.5 minutes, so
It
Yeah.
is an overall, it's a 1-for-1 trade, but it's a trade in favor of the Alawi, specifically in the laning phase, because so far Zach hasn't gotten either of the kills, and is down in farm. So even though Alawi's died twice, Alawi is actually ahead of about 300 gold or so over this Zach, even though being down 1 and 2 overall. If it was Zach having the 2 kills instead of the 2 assists, then Zach could definitely kind of start running the show up here in the top lane. But unfortunately, even though some of the plays have gone into favor of Conduit Phoenix as a whole for a team because of how strong Lilia is going to be, Zach will be behind in the top lane.
Yeah, certainly will. And I mean, we've seen a lot of top lane, you know, in the spectator in this series for a reason, and it's because there's been a lot of fighting. As there's been a lot of fighting all around the map. 2-5 going to trade flashes with the Alistar, so it makes the Alistar vulnerable again to a gank. But 2-5 also now in this 1v3, feeling totally fine to just keep just battering down at these enemy members, all of them pretty low. Looks like
yeah, I mean,
the recall actually going to be canceled by Lilia, so kind of annoying. Orianna's down here. They want to look for maybe a dive potentially, or trying to find these low members of the enemy team.
I mean, Dabs is going for rotation.
Dab's going to walk right into Efron, who's able to do the shockwave right on top of his head, but it's an effective one, and he's going to pick up that kill as the Jay's trying to roam over, but just ends up getting caught out as his team not at all in a position to be able to help him. That's the reason why Dorado was coming over there in the first place. And the Enchanted Crystal Arrow is actually available here for Ashe at level 6, very low on mana, so you know, not able to use too many more abilities. But it looks like for now Dorado, Nocturne gonna back off to his jungle. They're not gonna look for any more kills here, but nice work here from Dorado being able to push their bot lane advantage and use that map control to further their lead here.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm surprised the bot lane play didn't go in much more favor for Dorado than it already did, because I mean, 2-5 was doing a really great job of spacing, kind of going back and forth, getting as much damage as he possibly can onto multiple members. And Sunrai, I gotta be honest, was a little AFK in a situation.
Yeah.
He kind of just watched his Ashe just like 1v3 and didn't really do much to help him. And I think that play could have actually been a lot more successful if they were able to do it a little bit better. But
here comes the Nocturne. First Paranoia is going to land onto the bars, but able to get under the turret and survive. 2-5. The last auto attack does come through to get the kill, but it will be traded. He did have to sacrifice his life for that one. Looking back into this top lane, the CS lead, Orion, over double the amount of CS here for Gabriel Leo, 64-28. And then looking at the gold lead, he is up over about 800 gold, just under 10 minutes in at 8 minutes here. So that is, you know, Zach last time started out not looking, you know, looking a little shaky, then he stabilized. It does not look like that is going to be the case so far here. And I mean, Alawi's damages just work a little bit different, you know, as we can probably are about to see here with her ultimate. She gets stronger as the game goes on against these tank champions.
yeah, I mean, she just has so much healing in the kit naturally.
Yeah,
Right. I mean, it's just so annoying to do with the champion sometimes. But Subbing gets some decent damage here.
Yeah, she is sitting on 1,800 gold, so her lead is not necessarily reflected in the items that she actually has at this point. She does have her flash available, and does have Just Cooper here to assist. As Nation also in the area. Efron here. Just Cooper is going to be able to land. No, not. Yeah, it does still actually land the fear. Flash forward. Still no shockwave coming out from Orianna. Hasn't had the right angle for it. Gabriel Leo. This seems like the situation where he stays and dies. We've seen this before. But now he's going to be okay. There's no Lux this time to snipe him from the long range. Jace does have that shot blast, but doesn't land all the way from the mid lane. He's taking turret plates there instead, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, definitely, I mean, it seemed like a lot happened there, but overall, it was mostly just the flash coming through, being forced onto Nacian and Stubby, both having to use flash there to kind of survive this situation. But with the roam up from Efron, it does mean Jay's able to push it away, then get a tower play, so kind of get a little bit of gold advantage onto his hand. And we haven't really talked about mid lane in terms of the laning phase all that much, but overall, it is a CS lead for the Jace, and even though there's a kill lead there for the Orianna, the gold lead's actually in the favor slightly of the Jace there in the mid lane because of some of the roams that Efron has made in this game. But with the roam up from Sunrise up towards the top side, does look like a freeze is being built here by Domination in the boss side. So even though the grubs are being 6 grubs, sorry, have been picked up here on the side of Dorado Gaming side, Ashe has no real where to go, right? I mean, she can't really go bot lane because if the camera were to pan, right? See, here it is. It's like you can't really go back down here by yourself if you're at Ashe. So she's kind of just like bleeding gold down here time to time. But eventually Renata will kind of come back down here. And this is one of the things I talked about in that last stream that we had also, where it's like, I mean, anytime a support does roam up and your support stays, like you can just build, like Varus was down 20 CS about a minute ago. Now he's down like 5 once he collects his wave.
True. Yeah, definitely getting back into it, and will scale with that on-hit build. You know, we saw Billy do the Rune King first. I believe it was from 2-5 in the first game, but looks like we'll see the same build probably or possibly here. Maybe not, I guess, with the extra attack build. We'll see. Maybe that's for the boot. More importantly, Sunrise is 2 levels down as the support, you know, so I guess that is part of the cost of the roaming there, and as Renata Glass, you definitely want to get access to that hostile takeover when you can, just because it is a powerful ultimate. Not So Dark having his ultimate means that he definitely is less vulnerable to getting bursted out as this Alistar, and it's a 1k gold lead for Dorado, so you know that top lane does feel like a ticking time bomb. Oh, nice flash. 2-5 able to buffer the flash against the headbutt really nicely there. Again, we've seen this before. Once that initial engage comes through, Ashe feeling very comfortable to just sort of bully, as now Stubby trying to get that insect back into the turret, and the initial burst of damage from Zach is actually pretty strong, but now he will be down that ultimate. Gabriel Leo not expending his own, so
yeah, I think Stubby was potentially looking for a pushback into the tower, hopefully, or I mean,
yeah,
maybe that was
did it last game, worked last game.
But unfortunately, like you said, I mean, Gabriel Leo still has his own. So even if Alawi were to get kind of low in the situation, you can just see the amount of healing, right, coming off of that the
vessel, yeah,
the vessel or whatever it is. The fact that it comes through, I mean, it's just so much healing. And unfortunately for Zach, even with the Bramble Vestus, I mean, the Bramble Vestus doesn't apply to your vessel or your soul or whatever it is.
Spirit, I think you were on the better track. I don't know. I thought it was. Oh, he was close to getting that turret shot. He needs the assist. He needs the assist damage from that turret, realistically, for the solo kill. But I mean, he's getting the opportunities because of the way Gabriel Leo is constantly pushing in, which makes sense. And the CS lead still, you know, still very large at about 40 CS gold lead between the two of them, continuing to grow. It's about 1,100 gold in the favor of Alawi, but 1,700 of it unspent.
I mean, I think Gabriel wants Stubby to slingshot forward because Cooper's just sitting here, right? But so as long as Stubby has his slingshot, he'll be relatively okay.
Okay, yeah, Nocturne using the ult, but yeah, I mean, not gonna come up with a kill. Stubby.
I mean, of course he's gonna slingshot away. It's like, why would you even press Nocturne arm?
Yeah, it was like they got impatient and were just
wait for it. Yeah, I mean, unfortunate for Cooper, but I mean, at the same time, I mean, Nocturne Ultimate is a very long cooldown. It's a minute and 40-second long cooldown, and you want to make sure that every single one of those ult usages either results in a kill or assist. That way, your Ultimate Hunter lowers the cooldown of your ultimate coming through. But he does have experimental hexplate, which does lower the cooldown. But I don't. Sunrise
still does not have that level 6. Gonna get Varus ultimated up. Not So Dark doesn't mind that Ashe arrow. Just able to use his own ultimate as a cleanse, but now 2-5 trying to trade back. Gonna lose vision in the brush, but Not So Dark doesn't have the cooldown quite yet to get that combo off. So 2-5 is going to live another day, but it's a 1-0 for CPX, evening up the kill count.
Yep, Cookout does even up there. Nice little dive execution, recognizing Sunray for whatever reason was under the tower by himself. And Alistar being level 6, easily able to tank that one up with damage from the ultimate.
He's only like halfway to level 6 still on this Renata Gloss, so almost 15 minutes in. Probably should have your ultimate at that point. You know, I mean, I totally understand trying to, you know, roam, trying to give some extra XP to 2-5, who has been able to take pretty good advantage of it. when he has been able to, but now Gabriel Leo wants to finish off this first turret and will be able to do so. Do they have enough damage to kill Alawi? I don't think that they do. And this is the situation that Alawi wants, Orion. You said it, trying to draw additional members into this lane. And these are all champions that Alawi eats for breakfast because they don't have damage. And it's just going to get really painful from here. You can see Alawi even just building that Iceborne Gauntlet as the first item to get some tankiness because the damage is just already right there in her kit.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously it's like this is kind of becoming a problem, right? Because now it's like Zach for sure can't handle Alawi by himself, and even like, you know, for the rest of the members, it's like who else are you gonna send up here? Are you gonna send to Varus? Are you gonna send to Jace? Right. Like if you keep sending these multiple members, it's like you're just not gonna have any success anywhere else on the map. And this is the problem that Alawi has in most of the games that she plays. If she gets ahead, or if she's even like slightly like, if she's ever able to pull any members to her, all of a sudden the game becomes very hard to play with the other side of the map. But make it play on the bot side.
Oh, Sunrise. I don't think that hostile takeover managed to hit anyone. So Domination will pick up that kill. It's a 1-for-0. Oof, as the Jace Shock Blast doing a lot of damage on the backside of that. Yep, Flash is going to come through. But Efron isn't going to be able to look for anything aggressive as Gabriel Leo continuing to stay up in this top lane, making life really annoying for Stubby, who I believe does have the passive available. So that is, you know, he's got that as a safety feature for himself, so he knows that probably it would take the Alawi can't, you know, kill all the blobs under the turret, but still it's only kind of a matter of time until he can. And, you know, with 1600 gold in pocket, Alawi going to go back to the base. On the other side of the map, though, control remains, not going back to the base, but control remains on the red side for CPX, picking up your second dragon of the game. All right, 1v1, and there we go. It looks good for a moment for Stubby, but then it does not anymore, and he's going to have to flash away there.
I mean, I think I liked the initial play by Stubby, kind of jumping on top of him, getting the healing a little bit coming through, and kind of making sure that he would have ended up surviving that play. But instead, just kind of overdid it a little bit there. Unfortunately, they had to flash afterwards because of Gabriel Leo being there. But Alistar is on a ward, so they do know exactly where he is. And I think on the side of Dorado side,
trying to go for another Nocturnal. This time he will at least get the flash and ultimate on the backside there of Domination's Varus. So is it able to land the kill that is a positive cooldown trade, and possibly trying to and is able to push this Varus back from being able to defend the turret quite as aggressively. Unfortunately, Rift Herald does not have enough damage to finish it, and now 2-5 on this Ashe, still has the flash, has ghosted, gonna get slapped by the Lily. Do they have enough damage to fill it? Yes, Nation will pick up the first kill of the fight as the hostile takeover comes through. But we can see that it's a fight on two fronts because Gabriel Leo is, as usual, fighting a 1v1 against Stubby, who elastic slingshots back in. It looks like there were not any more kills on the other side, so it's just a 1-for-0 for CPX. And I mean, you can see this turret is in the top lane already at about less than half, so it looks slow right now for Gabriel Leo, but it's about those, you know, moments where he's able to bust it open when he can finally kill that Zac and nobody else happens to be there. It's not going to be good for CPX.
Yeah, but I mean, they're going to try. I mean, this is they're shooting 3.
Sunrise is here as well. No hostile takeover, though. Further another glass bailout is going to get dropped. It's not so dark. Almost going down. It is going to get dropped by those tentacles. And now Nation does not want to be where he currently is. And Stubby wants to go in and will pick up the shutdown for Domination, or help Domination pick up the shutdown. So that's nice. And Zac should have this elastic slingshot again if he wants to use it. Will at least go scout the area. Spell shield from the Nocturne going to prevent any kind of knockup. Everybody's going to walk away, but nice gold. I mean, you definitely want that going into the pocket of the Varus, who is quietly, you spoke to them, you know, evening up the CS earlier, Ryan. Now he's 4-0-1, completed that Blade of the Rune King, and not quite going to be able to complete the second item yet, but definitely well on the way.
Yeah, definitely Varus being a very strong point on the map for Conduit Phoenix. If it could be a pretty solid sign, I would say, for a chance to kind of get back into this game. But if we're being really honest with ourselves, this game is starting to become a little bit of, I guess, I would say, an Alawi show in a way where I mean, Alawi is simply starting to take over the side lane, and there's not really a whole lot that honestly anyone on the side of Conduit Phoenix can really do about it, and that's concerning. But I will say, I mean, we saw last game, right? Gabriel Leo kind of does the Dorado special, I guess you could call it, where kind of sometimes just kind of steps too far forward. He doesn't really need to be stepping too far forward, applying pressure when he doesn't really need to be, and letting his teammates kind of do their own thing. But instead,
Nation will get caught out by that Ashe arrow, and that is going to be the jungler of CPX down. They have controlled the top lane wave, also the mid lane wave pushing in. Will they choose to go towards this Baron with no smite on the enemy team? It looks like they are at least going to make their way over there. And you have to keep committing at least one member to covering Gabriel Leo. Doesn't look like Dorado wants to actually pull the trigger on a Baron start right now. Instead, they were trying to find vision, but it's going to be Sunrai actually caught out here, trying to use the handshake to buy himself some time, and he will be able to live after using the flash. But Zach wants to make a difference in this fight. 2-5 is going to get knocked up, and the Ashe just can't really play League of Legends right now because there's just a Zach right in her face. Just Cooper going to pop the paranoia and going into the fight, but it doesn't look like he'll be able to finish off any of these kills. Efron trying to speed him up, Bailout keeping it alive for another moment, but it's the shutdown coming through to domination, and this Varus just cannot be stopped, it seems, once he started. Those initial cooldowns coming through, those big ultimates from Dorado, once they're expended, there is so much room for kite back and damage to be dealt by this Varus, and CPX is doing a beautiful job of showing that as the game goes on.
Yeah, the execution there from the Varus with the blight damage coming through absolutely blasts Cooper at the very end of that fight there. But when we see the opportunities, right? We see the Renata also coming over the top with the Nocturne coming through, the paranoia. We see the potential, right, of this competition when they're all fit together. But that fight was the entire time without Jace and without Alawi, because both of them were up towards the top side of the map. But Dabs does have the TP up and available. Alawi does not. So it does look like potentially Blue Side is actually posturing over towards the Baron, trying to pull the members toward them. And this is exactly where Alawi wants to be. All 5 members will be posturing towards him aggressively, but Efron in danger.
Efron just not where in a very vulnerable position. He is gonna get a huge shockwave there, and my screen has gone black for a moment. So hopefully I'll be back here in a second. I can hear there's still stuff going on. Alawi getting the kill. Nocturne getting the kill. It's a double kill for Just Cooper, and I don't know how, because it started off with Efron getting jumped onto, but he doesn't die. It's a 5-0 for the side of Dorado Gaming Psy, and they are going to take what they can. They even have a wave here, Orion. Looks like they're going to be able to break the base 22 minutes in.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an inhibitor. The only person up is Alistar. The next people up in 5 seconds is Varus and the Lilia. They probably won't have nearly enough time to actually get in this position, be ready to make this play. So it definitely looks like, you know, for Dorado Gaming Psy, I mean, this game all of a sudden just blew open out of nowhere, and it comes off the back of Conduit Phoenix saying, hey, we can pick off this Orianna. Efron really out of position there completely by himself, but not enough CC to really lock down Efron, buying enough space for himself to land an absolute massive shockwave. 3-man shockwave there under that mid tower, plus paranoia over the top for the Nocturne to really kind of chase members down. And with the overextension by Conduit Phoenix, as they thought they had Efron in the mid tower, it actually resulted in a huge backfire for them, where this game was about maybe 30k gold. Now all of a sudden 6,000 gold lead 24 minutes into the game with your mid inhibitor down as well. We've seen the struggle right on the side of Conduit Phoenix for dealing with this Alawi to side lane. Now you have to worry about mid pressure, plus most likely bot pressure, as well as the Baron for the next 4 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, and that is a problem for sure. If you are Conduit Esports, excuse me. Yeah, I mean, look at this 5k gold lead for Dorado. We've seen lots of gold leads go back and forth, so it doesn't necessarily been the most meaningful statistic in this game. As clearly it is past my bedtime right now, but that does not reflect the intense nature of this game. 2 minutes and 40 seconds, though. I mean, that is the possibility of this Hex Tech Soul for Conduit Esports, which could be a game changer. It's definitely a really strong one. So despite that really bizarre fight, they are still in it. Stubby always looking for those angles to go in. Has really been critical to them in these team fights as they managed to slug out these games, or at least the last one. And yeah, I mean, it is going to be control of the map here for Dorado as the waves are pushed out. Jace now just the dedicated attendant for the Alawi.
Ooh, Sunrise.
Yeah, Sunrise. Maybe caught out, or maybe once again it's one of those 2 million IQ baits, as 2-5 is going to be all alone there on the Ash. As just Cooper going really low, but actually not going to end up dying. Not so dark. Going to be the next support to fall, and with the minions tumbling into the base for Dorado, I don't even think they need to worry about the Baron. They just want to go into the base of CPX and show that they are the dominant team. They faltered in game number 2, but in game number 3, they want to close the book. It's just Nation and Dabs left. What can they do? Gabriel Leo happy to play the 1v2 on the Alawi, and it's going to be Dorado Gaming Psy in the quickest, I believe, game of the series, 26 minutes in, ending it with that minion wave up the mid lane. Ooh, and I mean, CPX, I bet they feel frustrated after that one because it felt like that was a game that should have been closer than it felt at the end. I don't know if that makes sense, but
no, I mean, I 100% agree. I mean, really, I mean, the fact, obviously, we recognize the fact that Alawi was doing a lot of work in the side lane, so we maybe thought, okay, like, you know, multiple members going to Alawi, kind of hard to deal with, but actually, it was kind of off of, you know, Conduit Phoenix making a mistake in the mid lane, going after Efron, not quite picking up the kill there, and a massive shockwave and a huge turnaround for the rest of the fight, and then almost the exact same situation happened again, but above where the red buff was, where they're just going way too deep trying to chase members. And once again, Dorado able to pick off the members necessary and pick up the victory from that point on. I mean, honestly, I thought this game would probably go on, you know, 5 more minutes. You know, maybe like if Conduit was able to play for Hex Tech Soul, they maybe had a shot. But unfortunately, just made 2 huge mistakes back to back, and just like that, game is over.
yeah, it sure is. And so is the series. So Dorado Gaming, they will remain on the top of the table. There is also Big Duck Entourage, was also 2-0 with no game losses coming in. Not sure, obviously, what happened to them tonight. So might not be sole possession potentially of first place for Dorado, but they are at the top of the table, you know, somewhat. But for Conduit Esports Phoenix, you know, that certainly is not the end for them. As you know, as we mentioned, it's early on in the season. So just kind of gives them some added motivation, you have to think, should they come back against Dorado later. And, you know, as we saw in that second game, they are more than capable of making it happen. They do have the quality of players needed to accomplish that task.
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly for Conduit Phoenix, they'll definitely be kind of back towards top of the table. I mean, obviously, last stream, we had Dorado on. They kind of just smashed their opponents. This one was definitely relatively back and forth. Both teams made some really solid plays. We probably mostly kind of expected, at least for Dorado Gaming side, with multiple returning members to still be relatively successful, kind of towards the top of the table. And obviously, like you said, with Big Duck Entourage kind of coming back through and kind of keeping on top of the table, these 3 teams, from what we've seen so far, kind of do seem to be the top 3 teams at the top of the league. And with it being relatively early in the season, both teams have better chances to get better, to improve, and kind of work their way into playoffs and being the best team they possibly can be for that time being.
Absolutely. Well, we will have to just continue to tune in week after week to find out how this will play out. But until then, thank you so much for remaining here through this banger. Thank you to the teams, Conduit Esports, Phoenix, and Dorado. Definitely all giving it their all. You know, for Dorado, they better. Otherwise, we don't know what they have coming for them. But thank goodness they won. They're getting dinner tonight. So I hope everybody else has, you know, either some great sleep or great fun planned for themselves. I have been Elsa the Queen, joined by Orion, and we have had PVS on the production. Thanks for filling in tonight. Appreciate it. And we will see you all next time with Aegis. See you later.